those who were involved in making it come to life. Join us as we go behind the door.
Hi, welcome to another Behind the Door. This one's it, guys. This is our big finale. And there's Jason taking a big chug. Guys, we're really excited. We got a lot of wonderful who's who. And
Brian, go.
the
We lost Brian.
Hey.
Well, there you are. Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Jason is the co-creator and sound engineer, and I really killed him because he is the
Whoa.
for Jason and all of the hard work that you've been giving us. Also, we have the composer, J.M. Scherf. How you doing there, J.M.?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
I think he said just recently before we started that the musical soundtrack he did for Everything Ends was about an hour long. So we're going to be picking his brain about that. In a few minutes, we'll be having Graham Rowat, the voice of Bob. He'll be with us to pick his brain. And finally, I'll be passing the torch over to our guest host, Brooks Bigley, who, of course, does our advertising and social media and is the super fan, as we call him. So, Brooks, all yours, buddy.
Woo-hoo. Gentlemen, welcome. We've come full circle. It's the 13th episode. I was telling Brian earlier that we did the Behind the Doors for the very first episode on December 2nd. So 6 months exactly to the day.
Wow.
I mean, come on, it's serendipitous here. There's so much to unpack here. The season is done. How do you guys feel? How does everybody feel?
Oh man, great. Yeah. So good.
Yeah,
So
relief
nice.
pretty much sums it up.
I'd imagine so.
Well, it's definitely relief, but also at the same time, it's a bunch of excitement too, because I'm really looking forward to because season 1 was transformative from just the idea that it was to this group of excellent and wonderful people that have all come together to make this happen, and the pieces were being put into place as the season was going. So yes, it's definitely relief because you got to put the feet up and take a couple of days off and just not really worry about timelines or anything like that. But it's also kind of sucks because, man, I don't know. I'm kind of ready to get into season 2 because I think that season 2 is going to be if you like season 1, I think that season 2 is going to be definitely a step better, if not more than.
Oh, yeah. So you feel accomplished? You feel like you've undertaken this project and it's complete now. You're just looking forward to the next project, season 2, basically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that I get to work with everybody as a whole now. You know, like JM came in kind of late into this, and he's been just such a magical contributor to the actual atmosphere and everything. The gray rooms. Brian's been, there since pretty much day one, and we really it was almost kind of like an alphabet soup. We were just kind of stirring it around and pulling out what we could to make things happen and try to figure out where we were going with it. And Brian really, really created the world wonderfully with the Raymond stories and the Warden stories and just the story selections in general. I really couldn't have done pretty much any of this without Brian. And then, Graham, he came in at the beginning. It's just neat how everything unfolded, and then to have season 2 where we're going to have a full body of work with everybody as a full unit. That's going to be, that's why I think it's going to definitely be bigger, bolder, and ballsier.
The training wheels have finally come off.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like first season was a learning experience, I think, for all of us. And now that we've gone through the trials and tribulations of putting together a dramatic podcast, when we hit season 2, we already know about like a lot of the technical things that we need to deal with. so we can just be creative.
Yeah. Yep.
JM, this was like your first podcast really scoring. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like you have a really good sense of where to go now for season 2?
I feel like I have a better sense. Yeah, I'm still learning, but I've learned so much from the first episode, from like the half of the first episode that I started on until the last episode, which I feel was, it was movie length, that episode, and it was pretty cinematic. So, I've learned how to write faster. I've learned how to work faster. No, you know what?
Brian,
like I said,
I mean, Jason's just whipping you in the back.
Yeah,
That
but
music.
it all, it's basically season 1 was an awesome training ground to go into the next season for the Grey Rooms and any other project that I'm working on.
Rock and roll. I agree. 100%. 100% on that.
How do you feel, Brian? It's all over. What do you feel?
No, just kidding. No, man, I feel when you kind of start at the point where you're just kind of conceiving what this project's going to be, and then you see that end result where you were kind of, striving to reach it for so long, over a year. It was, really cool to just be able to finally sit back and listen to everything when everything was done and, all the stress was over and everything, and just kind of sit there and enjoy it and be proud of everybody. I can say like, wow, Jason and Graham, they really were the Bob and Raymond that I was like visualizing in my head. And, you can listen to JM's music and be like, where did this guy come from? Like, this is amazing. Like, it took what I was writing and just developed the mood for it right there. So, I mean, it becomes a thing where there was all this stress in the beginning, and now I can actually take time out and be like, wow, this is a really good podcast. Where did this come from? So it's great. I do feel good. I'm with Jason, though. I'm excited to start season 2. It's kind of nice. Like, you want to take a little bit of a break and kind of clear your head. But, I think we've been talking to all sorts of people about, our plans and getting their help with it. And I think it's going to be a bigger thing. So, I mean, we're just excited to tackle that now and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
JM, how did you celebrate? Like, did you do anything like the night that the finale released? Was there any like personal thing that you did, or like that when you first heard the whole package together? What did you do?
Well, I mean, I pretty much heard the whole package about a week before it was released. So when the release day came, of course, I always listen to the release when it comes out. Usually comes out on Friday. I usually don't get a chance to do it, to listen to it, and until I'm working on at my regular job on Monday. So I listened to it, and it was just everybody coming together, pulling together everything from the whole season. Brian did such a great job of putting everything together. I remember when he sent a text out before the story was written. He's like, guys, I'm sorry. This thing is like 11 pages long. So no, it's like 11,000 words or something like that. It's like, it's going to be a long one. And the deadline was ticking down. And I think we all worked really well under pressure to try to, to make the deadline that we wanted. And, it was exciting to hear the end product and to like put a button on the season. And, I can't wait to move forward to season 2. We have so many good ideas on how we're gonna. I think it's gonna be tighter and more cohesive, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a learning experience for me. I've learned how to do things differently as far as the editing aspect goes. I've matured and grown, but I don't think JM said enough. When I first heard episode 13, I think I texted him this paragraph or 40,000 different words of my own, telling him how every ounce, every square inch of my body was covered in goosebumps after that monologue opening, that explosive intro he did. Man, I'll tell you, JM really made that story. So Brian wrote a great one. Yeah.
Well, it's like
I love it. Very proud of it.
I get the files, and this episode was different because I was getting the files kind of piecemeal. I didn't get the whole episode at one time, so I was getting them in order. So just listening to the first couple of scenes, I just got this very cinematic, like this is like a movie. So I had to go big, and so I tried to make it as big as I could.
You delivered.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that, guys.
Mr. Rowat's here.
Yeah.
Yes, Graham
Hey,
Rowat is
Graham.
joining. Welcome, Graham.
Hey guys, I'm doing. There we go. Hold on. I need to. I want to get the chat room. I have to turn off. I have to turn off the audio in the YouTube feed.
Yeah.
But I have to go to YouTube to see the chat room. And anyway, the echo is gone. I'm here. I am alert and excited for our toast. Did I miss the toast?
No, we waited.
Oh,
No, we've been drinking already, though.
I've been toasting most of the afternoon.
Pre-toasting.
Hey, one thing I wanted to throw in there is in for a fan, old Bo. He wanted JM to know that his composing on the episode was right up there with Resident Evil or Silent Hill on that segment where Raymond goes home. I didn't get to tell him personally, he said. So, I guess you saw that. Never mind, JM.
That's okay. I didn't want to interrupt. No, I mean the sentiments, the feedback I've been getting on this episode has been amazing. It makes me feel good. Like any person who creates anything, when it's out there, you're still not sure it's good enough, and you feel self-conscious about it. So to get the great feedback from everybody on the work, it's humbling. It's flattering. I really, really appreciate it.
Feel you there, man. It took JM saying that he liked it for me to go, okay, maybe I'm happy with it.
JM, do you, in your typical, composing environment, do you, I'm guessing that you get feedback from clients, but do you ever get, sort of direct access to say audience in this way? Have you ever had that before?
No, it's great. I've been on Twitter a few years, and I've done a lot of projects, but this has been the most high profile project that I've worked on. So to have the fans of the Grey Rooms, hitting me on Twitter and Facebook and everything about the work it's been amazing.
Awesome. Well, yeah.
I think it will continue because
you don't need to. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry, Brooks.
I was just gonna say it's going to continue because you've got all of season 2 now. Like you are the music now for the Grey Rooms. You were filling in where needed be, and then where there was a lack of music, you were able to complete that for season 1, and still shine through on what you did get given to you. But now you've got all of season 2. So welcome. Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah.
And me and Jason has had some great talks about what we're going to do music-wise going forward, and being that I'm going to be in every episode from tip to tail, we can, there's so many more things we could do thematically, and instead of, it's like season 2 will be kind of like we'll kind of have the whole plan from the beginning instead of. Here's your next episode, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Anybody comment on? I'm sorry if I missed this, and I meant to say this at some point, but as Raymond is walking down the street, was it when you did an amazing thing where you wove different themes together underneath, like in rapid succession? And I'm trying to remember if it was the moment where Raymond was noting the multiple stories that connected back to the various stories. And was that it? I thought that was amazing that you did that. And I don't know if it was more than 2 or 3, but it was still It was really deft, and if no one has pointed it out or mentioned it yet, I wanted to.
I actually, Brian actually pointed out to me first when he first heard it, and actually, when he's walking, I do a couple little things, but it's in the execution chamber when he's saying, Cherry is sitting there and the rocking chair, and it's like I had to go back and I had kind of like a underlying drone going on at that point, but I was like, I have to pull stuff from every episode. I went back into my old files and I just started, putting stuff in there and trying to make it work with the drone that was going on. And I it was a nod to the old episodes. The whole episode, I think, was a nod to the whole season.
Amazing.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
As soon as I heard you were doing that, there's that thing where you just go, oh, no, he's gonna do it. It's just a whole other level of skill at that moment that you're like, that just floored me.
And Teddy's got his own theme song too that comes back from the second episode when Teddy makes his first appearance. That all that music it's rearranged, but I pulled it from the second episode.
Is that the same melody that you kept going back to as the scenes progressed? We kind of kept returning to like this really happy feeling.
Anytime Teddy was around, I tried.
Anytime
Teddy was around, I was trying to make it happy. Teddy's such an awesome, fun character.
That's why everybody loves Teddy, man, because you put that subtle music in our heads, man.
That's
awesome.
I mentioned that to Mike Lee. I said, I don't know if you've noticed how popular your teddy bear is, man, but you should really jump into Twitter and kind of take a read, because I think you created something here, man. And and I think we have a fan in one of our discords that's gonna make a teddy. So I'm looking forward to seeing all this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, physical teddy out of real teddy bear parts.
Not just Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Although there's probably a screwed up, a messed up Build-A-Bear story somewhere out there.
Before
we can always
be
make one.
The horror version of Toy Story.
So God. Can I ask some more music questions, JM?
Yeah. Sure.
Like, how did you feel? So you got handed like the vocals, right? Like you knew you had like the script, you knew what the story was. You heard the vocals, but there was still no mood set yet. How did you go about determining, like, as you pointed out, when Teddy's around, you have this kind of happy theme going on. How did you determine how to set each theme going through the story?
A lot of it is dictated by the vocal performances. I usually listen to any episode I'm working on several times before I start working on it. And I try to think of some stuff in my head, but I'm like, oh, this scene seems a little more sad. This is definitely like the big cinematic angry scene. And, the scenes, there's a lot of Raymond being upset in this episode. And to listen to, it's very emotional for him. So so I do my best to write emotional music. Now, my background is I'm a metal guy. I've been listening to metal for since I was 10 years old, and metal and rock and big, huge cinematic stuff. And it was really nice to experiment with some more emotional, lower piano stuff, strings, like keeping it, try to evoke the feelings of the vocals, but not to dictate it. I'm just I feel like the music, except for when there's musical interludes, the music needs to back up what the story's saying. And it's hard to explain exactly how I think up what I think up, but that's what I go off of is the emotional content that the voiceovers are portraying to me.
Well, there's a synergy between the sound of the music and what the characters are saying in the moment. And I feel like that synergy can be easily blown where there's too much music going on or the music doesn't seem to fit the scene, but you're really good at like you said, you're accompanying the action going on. You're not distracting from it. You're just fitting it in really well. So it just comes out very cohesive.
Thanks. Yeah,
I
the other time
appreciate that.
I really went grandiose is when there was no vocals. And Jason generously leaves spots in the episode, and when there's nothing going on there, I'm like, oh, this is when I'm supposed to do something loud.
That's got to be tricky, though, to know. I mean, probably a large percentage of scoring something like this is to know when not to. When something, I mean, the temptation would be to score every single second, and I imagine that's part of maturity in as we learn, and you've spent decades doing this. But I imagine a younger, less experienced person would be like, well, I've got to score every single second. And then with time, you realize that it's just as important to know when not to as it is to when. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to know when to let it breathe. There's scenes. I just saw John Wick 3, and one of the first action scenes where they're in a room full of knives for some reason, and they're having a knife fight. And the first thing I noticed, there was no music.
Fascinating.
And it just like sucks you in sometimes, the silence, so yeah, you have to know when to, leave it alone.
I have a buddy who is a composer, and I think one of the things he did in school was he scored the scene in Alien where Ripley has set the ship to destruct, and then is running to the escape pod. Is entirely silent. There's no music.
Yeah,
and I never would have guessed. And one of his projects was scoring that. And that sounds like a college thing to do, but sometimes famously things don't have music, and that's
right.
Amazing. I saw John Wick 3. I didn't notice that, but that's fascinating.
Yeah, I know. I try to notice those things when I'm watching a movie. It's funny when the things you notice because it's kind of my job to do music now. So I'm always studying that side of it.
It should just grab you too, just being out. I'm sure, don't you we've talked about this before. You might just hear a random melody float by your ear and you're like, I could turn that into something. And you need to get like a little dictator or something that you can record real quick. Something simple so you can go home and put it down on the track, basically.
Yeah, I have those. I'm not a great singer or even a hummer, so the stuff that I hum into my phone is usually off tune and it's usually pretty terrible. But I get the idea across sometimes.
First, did we lose? No, he's here.
Everybody still here?
Yeah,
so anyway,
okay,
what I was saying
here.
before is you asked me about celebrating. I feel like this is the moment I've been waiting for because I haven't seen all you guys at one time in a long time.
Yeah.
So congratulations, guys.
Salut. Prost.
Prost.
Yeah, that's a perfect pour right there. Look at that.
Admire that perfect pour.
There we go.
Also,
we're patting ourselves on the back again.
Also, we gotta give a shout out to Cassie too. Cassie's not here, but she does great artwork and she's wonderful.
Oh yes,
it was awesome.
Graham and I just dabble, but Cassie does great stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Shut up. Whatever, Brooks. Get out of here. You guys, I actually love what you guys do, man. I love those animations and stuff. I think that stuff's awesome.
Yeah, and the Raymond logs. I mean, that was some good art too, man. I mean, that it kind of sets the stage for the art for Everything Ends because you have the light bulb, it's intact, and then later on you go Everything Ends and the light bulb's all blown out. So really nice.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Graham, what did you do to celebrate?
This is the moment. This is the moment to do the clap ourselves on the back and sip our bubbly because then it's back to the coal mines of horror. and that's great. But this is the moment because the season, and the funny thing is that the finale aired, and and yet there's something still coming out. There's another Patreon bonus coming, and it's the wheels keep turning. But sorry, my question is, what do I do to celebrate? This is it. Yeah, I mean, the hard thing is finding when you create an epic audio. I don't know what the third word is there. Extravaganza, whatever. It's finding the time to listen when you're, a busy parent or something. And especially because it comes out on Friday, and then you're like, well, I don't have my commute until, and so sometimes the hardest time is just finding the time to sit down and listen to something amazing like what we made. So I think I finally got it, but I made the time, and it was worth every second. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
We know what you did, Brian. We saw it on social media. There were masks involved.
Yeah, that wasn't my idea, but we just had a small little thing with my wife and my mom, and she it was kind of big because she normally listens to it on her computer. I was like, well, Mom, just come down. We'll have it on the home theater, and we'll listen to it, and it was kind of a cool thing. I never actually really listened to an episode when it launched with my mom, so it was kind of neat. And we had champagne and just kind of had a nice little party. She brought helium balloons. We had these like congratulations balloons and stuff. It was really
it's a boy.
Really cute. Yeah, see,
I'm coming to your house next time.
It was kind of funny. Like some of the masks were like pretty crazy, but it was good. We stayed up and we watched that, and my mom spent the night, and it was just it was pretty cool. We got
and then we kicked her out.
Yeah, we actually she did our dishes. She woke up at like 5 a.m. and did our dishes.
Some things never change.
What's your mom's? I mean, obviously, she's a fan. Was she sad? Do you think she was satisfied by the whole the journey, Raymond's journey?
Yeah, I mean, she likes Bob. That's her. That's her character. She doesn't talk about Raymond much. She doesn't like you, Jason.
That's all right. I don't like me either, man. Now I get to do the proverbial Homer Simpson gif and just fade back into the bushes.
Well, your mom's in the chat, so we should acknowledge that she's. We can just ask her directly.
Hi, Brian's mom.
Hi, Brian's mom. Bob.
Yeah.
Bob says hi.
Well, it's funny.
Thank you for birthing Brian.
Yeah.
She was just telling me today. She said, she feels kind of sad because this is it. So she was excited, just like some of you were saying. Man, this is like the party for me, like the after, the wrap up party or so. It is kind of for her too because, now she doesn't really listen to podcasts. Like after this, she's pretty much done until we start up again. So it's kind of a neat thing for her. Like she feels like just like you would if your favorite show has its ending and now you have to wait till it starts up again. So she's excited. It's kind of neat having that somebody who's like somebody you really care about, and obviously you want to impress with everything you do, that that really supports you in that. It's pretty nice.
That's wonderful.
Well, it's a camaraderie to listen to it too. Like you have a physical person in your real life that listens to the podcast with you. Like I listen to tons of podcasts, but I don't know if like I physically know someone that I could physically talk to, about a single podcast together. So that's awesome.
The downside is she tries to get insider information, and I can't pass it on, It's like,
or tells you how to write
writer it. Here,
She's gonna leak spoilers on the internet, huh?
Brian's mom tells us all about season 2 and 3. That'd be
And
awesome.
there's going to be a character who shows up in season 2, and her name is Michelle, and she offers to do the dishes in the early morning, and it all works.
Very vaguely familiar.
Yeah. and yet she always seems to avoid any horrible fate. So that's good.
Well, Michelle actually got to have a part in, with the with that crowd scene. So that was pretty exciting for her. She's always kind of asking me like, "Hey, you think there's a part I could do?"
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Was it the part like, Raymond, you're gonna die. You're gonna die, Raymond. You're gonna die,
Yeah.
Raymond.
She was the
Those
low
parts.
one. She was the
I'm
real
sorry.
low voice. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I totally. If everyone was just thinking I'm crazy, it's because I just spent 5 minutes making your mom Michelle in the chat. So sorry about that, Michelle. Sorry about.
Oh, you thought Michelle was my mom?
Well, no, I just saw black, and I just saw the black, and then I just went there, and I've never met Michelle or spoken to Michelle, so I just see a name, and it's been a long day.
Well, to be fair,
there you go.
Brian's mom is not in the chat, I don't think.
There's that Homer
Actually-
Simpson gif.
she might not be in the chat,
Love you,
but,
Bram. Love you.
but my mom probably is watching
All right.
on the YouTube stream, so you might be good. You never know. You might just summon my mom and she'll tell you dirty secrets
Was
about
Michelle
me.
able to pick out her voice in the episode?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, she was.
That kind of was a magical moment. I didn't know how that was going to turn out, but when all the people started speaking, and personally, I realized what the collected group was, that I think that kind of gave me some warm and fuzzies.
It was really cool. And then, you were very excited about it too. Like once you read that story, because, I think you kind of were giving me some ideas as to who all, we should talk to about it. So one of those voices, actually a couple of those voices are in the room. We got Augie Peterson.
Mhm.
We got
Her story's
Bo.
coming up Friday, by the way.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Road trip's coming. And then we have Bo. Bo was in there, and Justin Thulu was the priest.
And Charlotte was one of our. She was one of the ladies at the table.
He was a table lady.
She and Victoria
Yep.
were the first two. That did not sound like David Steele, that first guy that Raymond runs into. I was like,
Really gets bumped into.
I got to go back and listen to that because I did not recognize the voice, and I was like, who else did they get for that part? But I'm guessing that's him.
Yeah, that's David O'Steele, the very first one.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we praise Alistair for crashing his car so eloquently into the tree and being the warden? I mean, that was an amazing scene.
No, you know what sucks about that scene, Brooks, is now I'm like, okay, I got to reach out to Graham or something this off season and get some acting lessons, because if I'm going to continue to play this warden character, Alistair, and everybody just friggin' turned it up to 12, and I got to at least bring it up to 6.5.
Close to 11, at least.
Yeah, but you're the warden's actual, character. Those other guys were just speaking through their own character.
Yeah.
Oh, I friggin' loved it, though. Alistair's always great. He's always great.
Yeah. I take, again, all the credit.
For finding Alistair.
Well, I looked at
Birthing
the
him
script, I looked
upon
at
the
script,
podcast world.
I looked at the script and I saw that moment, and I knew nothing but the very best would do. And I turned, I said, it's time to, I know what Alistair needs to do in this episode, and that's it right there.
It was amazing. It was so good.
Oh man, it was fun. It was so fun listening to that.
And yes, Charlotte is absolutely right. Jason does amazing. Jason, I mean, of course, Jason was playing Raymond. I don't know if the warden actually. So he didn't get to. Jason's acting is great. Is the bottom line is what we're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll hear a lot of Jason as, if you're a patron, you'll hear him as the warden in all of the bonus stories. He's in that, so we're all excited to see what he's up to for this next one coming up. So
yeah, so next Friday there's a bonus story, and with it there is a bonus warden scene. So there's it's going to be amazing because you've got more of our wonderful warden and his crazy antics.
And then right after that, we have the first time author drop.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's right. Lots of stuff coming up.
Is the first time author drop also a Patreon exclusive, or will it be a wide release?
That's going to be a wide release.
All
That's I think there was some confusion out there, just so you know, on the author release thing. That's just something I wanted to do because I'm a first time guy at all this stuff, and there's a lot of new and talented people out there that don't necessarily get an opportunity all the time to have their stuff showcased. And we will take a first time author story and we will air it at the end of our season. The one that we choose, we'll edit it, voice act it, and air it for everybody to hear. And that's kind of what we're doing. And it's kind of neat, the response we've been getting for season 2 with a bunch of them, but we can't do them all. I would love to, but we can't. Oh, JM fell out of his chair. Oh, he's back.
Drop my mouse.
Let's talk about music.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jam, I want to go back to Jam. I wanted to ask something. We hear about bloopers for actors, messing up their vocals. I don't know if an author can have a blooper, but in terms of producing the music, like, have you ever had like a frustrating night where you had this melody you were trying to work out and you couldn't get it right? Or I don't know, maybe you produced a piece for a certain scene and you pushed it along like, here it is, this will go for the scene, but you personally were not happy with it, that you felt it could have been something different or something better. Like, have you ever encountered, do you know what I mean? Like, basically the effect of like the music that fell to the cutting floor, if you know what I mean. Like, that would have gotten something that you created that you didn't actually go with.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I have folders full of stuff that is not completed because it just either wasn't good enough or I couldn't figure out where to go with it. So there, and I save it for later because it could work as inspiration for something else.
Right.
In this episode particularly, I didn't have much time to fool around. So everything in the now there is a lot in the episode where I take there's like this synthesizer, like this little like beeping, like plucking noise. It's the first electronic noises you hear. It starts when he wakes up and he's in the town and he's walking in the town, and that recurs in 3 or 4 different times. The same thing except slightly altered, and changed to work with something else. Because like I said, it was. There was like a pretty quick deadline for the music. So
a lot of fast turnaround on this, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. I think it was about 3 weeks, I think, total from when I received the monologue.
Wow.
Yeah. And 3 weeks, it's not 3 weeks of me working. It's me working on Saturday and Sunday mornings, trying to get it done maybe in Wednesday mornings. There's a lot, if you listen to it, there's a lot of stuff that kind of repeats, but I think it's more thematic, and I try to change. Instead of the beeping with strings, I'll do the beeping with a piano in this scene, and it changes it just enough, but I get to keep like a flow, and it helps my workflow, especially when there's a tight deadline.
Do you work better under pressure, or because I know if you had let's say a year, that would be too much time and it might not be good quality, but certainly having 2 days to do it,
I was thinking about it because this episode is movie length. It's like an hour and a half, and most composers, they do 4 or 5 months for an hour and a half.
Right. That's what I'm getting at here. Like, you scored something in media that was an hour and a half long, and you did it in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Less than 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think I'm learning that I do work a little better under pressure, definitely more efficiently. And I don't think I would have been able to do this episode if I didn't do all the episodes before. Like I said before, it was a training ground. It was, every leading up to the last episode and the amount of time I had to do the score, I just learned so much in the previous episodes that I was able to apply everything that I learned. I don't know. It's like similar to the way that this episode pulls from every other episode of the season. I kind of like pulled everything that I learned in the whole season to put the music together for this episode.
Magic. And that's just going to carry forward to season 2.
Yeah.
That's why
I think I'm gonna get
excited for season 2, man. I think it's.
I
Gonna
think
be
I got to
better.
get a whiteboard. I got to get a big whiteboard like Jason, so we can start mapping it out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm about ready to take some cleaner to that, man, and empty it out. I'm looking forward to emptying that thing out, man. You don't even know.
Just buy a new one. Just buy a new one.
Flip it over.
Flip it over.
Take a
What is
picture,
it, a
though.
mattress?
Take a picture before you erase it, though.
Yo, yeah, for sure. Definitely. I
I feel
will.
like you should keep it. It's like historic now.
Yeah.
Go buy a new one.
Yeah.
Throw that old one, like, vacuum seal it or something. Just do what you need to do. Save that thing. It's for posterity. That was your
Brooks.
original whiteboard.
Thanks, Brooks. I don't have that big of a vacuum sealer. Thanks, Brooks.
Frame it. Just frame it. We'll pay to have it framed.
Yeah, we'll help you out. It's worth it.
Yeah, I remember the story came in on was it on a Sunday or a Saturday?
Yeah, I can't remember. I started working on. I think it was a Saturday because I think I started working on it the very next day, and I'm pretty sure I was able to get the monologue to JM, and I think scene 1 and maybe 2 that very same day too.
Well, it was funny because you said to me, and understandably, it's fascinating because most of the other stories have had such lead time, and I know we haven't quite had everything move so quickly. So you within a day or two are like, so when can I expect getting those lines from the actors? And I was like, whoa. And I realized though that you can't do what you need to do. Everything sort of can get backed up almost instantly. And I remember some of the actors, we'd reached out to Warren Richardson and to Justin. I always want to say Justin
Thulu. Yeah.
But I really should just say his real name.
Dorothy.
And they were, traveling, and it was over. I think it was a holiday weekend, and so, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, how can I make sure that Jason can still move forward? And so I just randomly recorded their lines, and I said, here, use this audio, and then then you can splice it in. But it was the time we got the story to the time I think people had their lines in, and we had, a good 15 people submitting lines. I think we got it in about a week, maybe a hair over that. And I think that's really astounding.
Yeah. I truly loved that scene, by the way. I thought it was really neat. I was so happy. Graham was like, here's some lines. I said, thank God. Thank God. And so I just put it together, and I gave it to JM because the only thing I could think, I was like, okay, I can put this together. I can get it done. But then I have to hand it off to JM, and I got to get this to him as fast as I can.
Right.
Drink. JM, don't hate me. Drink. JM, here's another audio file. I'll get this to you on Monday. Crap, it's Tuesday. Here. Oh, man, yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. That third scene was the craziest, but it was, looking back on it, season 2 is going to be a lot better again, because I learned a lot from this too. I learned a lot. And I work better under pressure as well, but I don't want that much pressure. Holy crap. That was a lot of pressure.
I think it's good to put pressure on yourself and to set deadlines. I think it makes you perform better.
How about our one-word cameos? I think we only had one-word cameo.
DC?
The who?
David Cummings?
What did you call it?
One-word cameo?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How'd that work out, Jason?
Graham, did you get an opportunity to actually listen to that reel before it?
No, I never did.
Oh my! David Cummings. David Cummings is one of the funniest human beings on the face of this planet. He sent me. I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes long, and it was him doing that one line in different ways. Like he did it as a pirate. He's like, "Arr, ye be wanting a blindfold," and he did it so many different ways. I was laughing so hard. I told Brandon, said I was this close to actually using one of those because I couldn't stop. He is so awesome. And then at the end, he said, "Oh, here it is, just reading it normal. If you ever want to use it, I mean, I can't understand how you'd want to use it this way, but in case, And Yeah, I can't say it. David Cummings
my
was
God.
phenomenal.
What if the extra bonus at the end of the episode after the credits was just that? Was just him saying blindfold all over and over again.
You'd be wanting a blindfold.
Anyway, that
You
was
could do the bloopers episode.
that was when we asked him to do that, it made me think about how George Clooney would do the voice of he on South Park. George Clooney would do a voice of a dog. He would bark.
Yeah,
Dog, and you'd see him in the credits, and you're like, "What?" And I'm like, I think that's probably the greatest testament to people who are as cool and as chill as David. And you're like, "Look, it's a busy episode. I don't have anything flashy for you, but we would love you to be a part of this." And for him to be like, "Yeah, sounds great." And that's the real sign of a cool guy.
No, he's.
Did you send him a script with the word blindfold on it? Just the word blindfold?
I think I sent him the script, but then I said, "Look, if you just want to make it easy, here's the paragraph before, and here's the line." And if you don't want to dig through the 22 pages of the script to look for your highlighting, just here it is.
That was so much fun when I got that. I'm always excited to hear something from David Cummings because everybody knows I kind of nerd out a little bit, and I fanboy a bit with David Cummings. He's a huge inspiration and motivation to just at least for me personally, and the fact that he's been in a few of my stories, and he talks to me every now and then. That's amazing. I'm still amazed by that. But yeah, when I got that, it was
it's just an
it was a
ethereal
lot
voice.
of fun.
It's just a voice that talks to you. It's like there's no one else around, and you just hear him.
Talks to you at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's in P Cloud, so I guess I could make that happen if necessary.
When you're lonely, just listen to David Cummings clips.
Make him an alarm clock buzzer.
What's that,
Blindfold.
David?
Blindfold.
Can we segue into production stuff, Jason? You have completed season. I mean, have you realized yet that you have completed a whole season? You have produced an entire season.
Did you save it? Did you back it up?
Yes, I did, Graham. Yes. Yes. Actually, oh man, this season's been something else. Like I got a new computer out of the season. I have a bunch of great new guys and I consider to be friends out of all of this. And yeah, I mean, I've completed the podcast. This just a year ago. This was something I was dreaming about doing. This is something I thought, maybe I'll put my hat out there and see if somebody will listen. I was hoping to get 1,000 downloads. Yeah, it's done. It's amazing. And I love every one of you guys. And I cannot wait to do this for season 2. I cannot wait because I'm telling you, it's just getting started. And it is a drug because it was definitely rough and tumble. It was a learning experience. I had to figure out how to do things. I mean, I'm a novice, absolute novice at audio production, but there were things I needed to learn. And doing this the way that I did, I realized, well, I got to do this better, got to do that better. Thank something happened. The stars aligned, the planets or whatever, and Graham came in, and JM and Brian and Brooks and everybody. Yeah, it's done, and I'm ready for season 2. I'm excited, man. I'm stoked, and and Patreon is doing really well, and I need to get better at that. I don't know. It's fun, man. But like I said, it's like a drug. I'm anxious to get going again. I'm really anxious to get better. I want to be a better producer, and I'm hoping that's why I say season 2 will be better, because I think that it's going to be better. So yeah, it's finished. Yay! Thank God. Let's move on to time next season.
You're a train just going forward. This was just one of many stops. That's all it was. It was the season 1 stop. That's it. Yeah. On to season 2 stop.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Like I said, I was hoping to get 1,000 downloads, and I think we surpassed that.
I was trying to see where we were 1 year ago today. Falling had come out, right?
Yeah,
Falling came out.
Falling came out in March, I believe.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, amazing how fast time goes.
Gonna look it up on my podcast app, but can't find my phone right now.
Oh, sure.
Graham, before you joined, I was pointing out to everybody that we did Behind the Doors for the first episode on December 2nd. So 6 months to the day from today.
Wow.
Prior to today.
For the Great War.
Yeah, for the Great War.
Isn't that so weird that happened? And then we released episode 13 almost exactly a year after we released Falling. I believe that's what it was, right?
Wasn't it the same day? Wasn't it the day to the year?
It was almost. It was. We released Falling on Memorial Day, which was the 27th of May. So we released Everything Ends on the 24th. But I mean, it was also, it's so close.
Weekend.
It's
Parallels.
weekend.
Been a lot of weird little things like that.
What was the turnaround between us recording the first Behind the Door and the first person saying, "You guys think you're so important to talk about your show"?
I think it was with it
3 days.
Well, that was within minutes.
Patting yourself
Within
on the
minutes.
back like you're such a big deal.
1 star.
1 star. Too much content.
Too much.
I love the show, though.
Like the show. Love the show.
Well, that's right. They love the show, just not the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
There was
figured
one funny thing though about the reviews is that I was reading a review on iTunes, and this one guy released, or gal, I don't know, somebody, they released a review for. They kind of gave us. It might have been, I don't know if it was 5 stars or what, but they gave us a review, and they said, "Man, the audio is." It's kind of weird, a little loud here, a little blah, blah, blah. And that was towards the beginning of our podcast with the preseason episodes. And then suddenly they updated their review, and they said, "Oh, hey, they got everything figured out. They like really praised us." And then afterwards, when the finale came out, they updated it again and gave us more praise. So this one person updated their review on iTunes 3 times.
That's
Because
amazing.
they loved us so much. And, they had they kind of even said, well, they had to work some things out, but boy, was it worth it, for that.
I want a screen capture of it'll say first one and then it'll say updated on this date and then a second will update on this date.
The only reason why I even know they updated is because I think they specifically wrote
Yeah, I think I know which
update.
one you're talking about. I've seen that. It says updated. And
Yeah,
I think then you put a date in there or something too.
So does the original one disappear and you just see the
No.
word update? Because it would be
No,
great to have them all one on top of the other and be like, post that and be like, guys, here's our journey right here. This
People do it on Amazon. They'll, you might say something bad about a product, but then you realize you were wrong or whatever the hell changes, and then you'll write
It
edit
removes body hair just
in the
fine.
same one, and then you'll add 5 stars. It'll just combine it all.
But a lot of people post in anger about how they were wronged, and then if it does change, they don't bother going back. Why bother?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you
That
think
sucks.
about how hard it is to get people to review anyways, and to get somebody to come back and
Yes.
change their review, or that's amazing. And
Right.
so thank you. I think
3 times.
I think his name's Beef something, Beef Stroganoff or Beef. I don't know. I got the better review now. Call me Beef Stroganoff.
Well,
I'll find him on there. We'll give him some shout out.
that
But,
the recent post on our Facebook page, where the guy said, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm proud to become a patron of the Grey Room.
Yeah.
That kind of a comment is kind of the best.
I believe that
Yeah,
gentleman,
before.
I think his name Mike or
No, Matthew
Matthew.
Boblet.
That's right. Yeah, he actually putting his patron packet in the mail tomorrow. Yeah, he's I saw that too. I think Brian screenshotted that or something. That's amazing. Again,
Yeah,
that boils back to the whole process.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not related to any one of us.
Yeah.
my cousin.
Always
Maybe
always,
I don't.
it's always a shock But obviously people are listening to this. We know that, but it's always nice when someone comes in and yeah, that's so touching.
Sorry, it was Christina that screenshotted that. I'm getting corrected. Sorry, Brian.
Well, there you go. Maybe we both screenshotted.
Yeah.
By the way, that guy's name is Beef Sabotage. So I was close to moving on a little bit. Beef Sabotage. Thank you so much.
That was the weirdest Beastie Boys album ever.
I was gonna say that sounds like straight up like Beastie Boys cross like a punk rock band or something like that from like back.
Sounds like a vegan to me. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. They're a PETA. It's a PETA band.
Going back to production. So, Jason, you finished your season. This was the first time that you really got to flesh out Raymond as a character, because we normally only hear Raymond in a specific setting, with Bob. This was your chance to really. We've heard snippets of like his past, hearing him with that strange church cult that we, haven't heard much of about yet, but we've gotten snippets of, just hearing effects of him sitting in his couch.
I'm sure we're never going to hear from them again.
The cult, whatever that was, the church.
I'm sure they're long gone.
Probably.
We told him.
I'm sure we'll never ever hear from them.
Good bunch of SOBs.
Yeah, they were. I didn't like them. Sorry, keep going.
Well, it just, as a listener, it was really fun to hear Raymond out and about, and you were setting up, the scenes of Raymond interacting with a bunch of people, which you really haven't been able to hear throughout the season. Was that difficult for you to kind of choose how? Because you're taking Brian's words and you're converting that into your audio version of his words. Was it difficult for you to kind of go outside of the gray rooms per se to, make this episode? Because there was a lot of Raymond wasn't even in the gray rooms really. Like he was out and about doing stuff.
Was he?
Are we talking spoilers?
Right.
But
it's time to ring the bell.
It was nice to see him stretch his legs.
It was, yeah. It was oh man, I gotta tell you what, dude, that's messed me up. God, that whole one, I tell you. But yeah, it's the whole thing about it was tough because I'm not a voice actor. I'm not. And so yeah, trying to make that sound like he was out there and everything. Yeah, just everything about it was tough. It was completely tough. So doing big scenes like that, as not a voice professional, you really understand how much you love your professionals.
Wow, you did a great job. Come on, you're Raymond.
No, I'm not anymore.
That's true.
By the way, we have a Brooks has a bell, so if we get off topic or do something too spoilerish, he's gonna let us know.
I like it. So
we need to bring that into season 2.
Instead of the bulb that just ting ting tilling ting ting. Let's be this.
As opposed to just the ice in the rocks glass. This is probably.
Oh, sorry about that, man.
I mean, we're growing up. We're becoming more professional. We'll use the bell from now on.
We moved on to bells.
Chinga, 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 chinga.
People might appreciate the ice in the rocks glass a little bit more than the bell.
They wouldn't. Bourbon at 2 p.m.
So were there any? Oh, sorry. Were there any hardships, Jason, like putting together this episode? Because it was, like you said, 1.5 hours long, movie length. Like, what kind of hardships do you feel that you had with putting this episode together? If any.
Yeah, none. It was great. It was
Don't say all of it.
I was like Ice Station Bravo, and anything else after that was just cake. So no, but this truly was honest. I think really the hardest part of this was the time, just trying to get it to JM, because I think getting the voice talent. I had all the voice talent send me their parts, and then I was able to construct it up, which I got to give credit to Graham on that. Like he was able to. It was a whirlwind. He was able to pull that off. So he's a friggin' genius. but I was able to slap all that together and then get it out to JM. So and I asked JM. I remember I was like, man, I don't want to send this to you in one big lump file. I think I'm just going to send this to you in scenes, and that's okay. And he was like, yep. I mean, I've never worked like that before, but I guess we'll just make it happen. And yeah, so episode 13 was just challenge all around. But I think the hardest part was the time. But hey, it is what it is. It worked.
Got it. Phenomenal job. Absolutely.
Jason, what was it like having to do such a large, acting job too? Like you never had to do, 20 pages. Like that's mostly Raymond.
Well, I was thankful that a lot of it was a narrative.
Yep.
I'm thankful about that. I mean, that helped with the editing aspect, but, I'm not a professional voice actor. I'm just going off of reading the paragraph or the page that I need to read and just kind of getting the raw emotion out of it. And it kind of helped that I was able to put my son into it, because when I was able to drop his voice and words in there, it really just made it real personal. I actually kind of, I guess I say I really felt like Raymond in many of those scenes, because, I love my kid, and to hear his voice, which just killed me in this thing.
Dude.
Yeah.
The moment he first spoke, and, we've listened to a lot of podcasts and we've heard a lot of, young actors in their 20s or 30s putting on a kid voice. When you hear an authentic child speak in that moment, the sort of ice water that went through me when the whole stakes of this story shifted, and when I realized that, and I knew this going in, that you had done this, but still it added that layer of realism that I was like, I'm going to try not to swear on this podcast, but that's what, it was amazing.
And if I may give Jason a little shout out there, he did a lot of that in one take. I told him, I said, look, this is how we want it to sound. This is how we want it to sound. And he just stood in front of the mic and did it. So I don't know.
Well, he's got a future in voice acting.
Well, you can follow him on Twitter at Audio Torment Jr.
His demo reel will be on YouTube in a couple of weeks.
I might actually
YouTube
go
kids.
get that tag right now. I might go
Get that one just to be safe. He streams. He's a Minecraft streamer.
Yeah.
Somehow we have two Brians. I don't know if anyone noticed.
I'm looking at both, but only one is moving.
Just so you know, it's not my internet, it's my wireless adapter. It keeps resetting. So if you ask me a question or you're talking to me and I just like that for a while,
I didn't think that was a thought.
Oh shoot! I missed it. I was going to screen capture it.
You disappeared.
That amazing. I wanted
That
to be
time
like,
both Brians showed up.
Yeah,
But
so you
I
know,
have to say,
that's not me. I'm the real one.
but here's the problem I'm thinking though. Every time my wireless adapter reboots, what's happening to the live stream?
We're all still here.
Yeah,
It still says live in the corner.
Yeah,
Weird, but what happens when we boot it? When we port it over to audio, is it going to be patchy? Is there going to be some pauses?
Well, if it is, then I'll ask JM to do some scratching.
Yes.
And we'll just slap that in the middle there. We'll just mix it all up.
Oh, you could put some of those cartoon sounds.
Oh man.
Justin said there's been a couple little loading circles.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. See.
Oh, that's no good.
So what you're saying is that we just need to stand here, just sit here and move our mouths for a couple of
I
seconds.
thought Brooks just did that to be funny, and then I realized it wasn't.
Wow. So we've been neglecting Brian this whole time. Basically, I mean, he kind of wrote this story because
just
right,
go
I
on
was
Twitter.
trying to cover for you,
there.
buddy.
Just Brian's there, Toby.
So, Brian, Mr. Author, how do you feel about all of this? Like, how do you feel like completing season 1? Like, the show is not over, so there's like no finale. But in terms of completing season 1, how do you feel?
And I love the logo. The logo's there. Looks really nice.
He's frozen with a smile on his face.
I'm back.
Well, there he is.
I'm back.
There he's back.
I heard how you feel, and that was it. Was that to me?
Oh no! Rewind. So basically, the question I've been asking, like, we've finished everything with season 1. Basically, how do you feel? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel that you got everything out for season 1 that you wanted to onto the table for everybody to hear? Are you happy with everything? How do you feel? Frozen again.
Oh, poor guy. I feel bad for him. I would like.
I'll step in and tell you how he feels.
Oh, please.
Go ahead, Brian, number 2. He always pretends to be you, anyways.
What?
There you are.
I mean,
Welcome back. Welcome.
Graham, you should just pull out your
He feels
Brian mask.
just Swell. He feels.
There you go,
darn good.
JM.
all right. Am I happy? That's really all I got out of that.
Damn. I gotta ask my
Sorry.
question.
I think it's not you. It's me. Okay.
I will text you.
But yeah, I'm happy. I mean, that was, it was whatever you were asking me. I'm happy of what happened.
Whatever you were asking.
I don't know. I really shouldn't pretend I know what the question is, I guess.
Every time he comes back, he's just nodding.
Right, because I'll ask a third time and then you'll just disappear again.
There it goes. That poor dude.
Oh, technical difficulties are
You
fun.
know what? The sad thing is, it got worse when you came to me.
I know.
Everybody else is, okay, go ahead. Hurry up.
Before I reboot every 30 seconds, go.
How do you feel? Are you accomplished? Is everything great? What's going on in your life? As an author, I don't know how to ask the same question again.
You're still good.
Okay, I want to know your thoughts on completing this. Like, did you feel that you were able to wrap up season 1 how you wanted it to be presented, like the way that you wanted everyone else to hear it? Right? Do you feel accomplished that way? Were there any things that you wish were different, or everything's on course for you, basically?
So I had the idea of how I wanted to go about with Everything Ends for a while. Originally, I knew that I wanted to end it with a electric chair scene. I thought that it'd be really great for really great. It'd be really Raymond. It would be kind of interesting if he relived his own death, so to speak. So I thought, wow, it's already bad enough to have all these other deaths. What happens when you're sitting in an electric chair, that you already did previously in life, and then God zapped again? I mean, you had to repeat it. That'd be horrible. So that's where that started. Some months down the road, it just kind of added on to it. And I realized it might be a better idea to kind of do something where, you know what, if you die all the time, does death even still have meaning? So that's what I wanted to explore. And that's why I had Raymond go into a town and experience what life would be like with this child who he decided was a son, and be with his wife that he had killed and all those things. So that was kind of in my head. I said, oh, wow, this is going to be something. It's going to be very powerful. I want to be able to do a good job in, converting what's in here onto the page. And that was stressful. As I was running it, I took my time with it. I did kind of struggle a little bit. I got into the last scene where, he's basically getting ready to go home now after, the scene with the bus and, the car accident, everything. And that's when I stopped and said, man, this is so long. And it's like, did I kind of fail at what I really wanted, what the story was that I wanted to tell? Have I gone too far? Or have I lost what I had in mind? And I had all kinds of different endings where, Randall Wolf showed up. There was a fight at one point, Lucy was bleeding out on a bed, and Randall had like a knife to the son's throat and different things like that. Like, I was just like, no, this isn't working. This isn't working. What am I doing? Why is the warden in this now? Just asking all these questions. And finally I was like, I got to show somebody the story and see like where it's going and how they feel about it. So that's why I sent it. And I said this before, I sent a story to Bo Chappell, and he kind of said to me, no, don't change this. Maybe, he gave me some suggestions, but he says, you can't just cut out the whole bus scene. You can't cut out the car accident. And of course, I think everybody would be upset if I cut out the car accident now because of Alistair. But, he did such a great job with it. And really, I do feel that it would have been a mistake. But after talking to Bo and getting some kind of, closure, I guess, that I was on the right track with the story, I was able to finish. Here's my cat. I was able to finish that last chapter. There's some advertising for Bo there. You're 47, but I was able to get that chapter done. So for me, after that, that's when you say, okay, now there's all kinds of pressure riding on my shoulders that this actually ended in a way that's going to impact people. This whole Raymond and Bob thing. If I would have just did like a cop-out ending or something, I feel like people would have felt that whole mystery or the whole buildup would have been a waste of time. And so that was kind of, nerve-wracking. But the first person outside of Bo that had read it and kind of said, no, this is going to be, this is something that I'm excited about was Graham. He got back to me within I think a couple hours after I sent it to him. So, that
probably because I knew I had to get it cast real fast. But I love
very logistical.
That bus, the bus thing, something about that whole trip on the bus elevates the whole story. It takes it it allows it time, the world to exist and to expand a little laterally. And it's not just, I woke up and I got the bear and I went home. I love that we have the time to go into another part of the world and have it fall apart before we get home. And that I totally dug the bus. I'm so glad you didn't cut it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think my concern about it was I think just juggling around the warden here and Bob there. And just, I didn't know if it was going to really work for that scene. At one point I had thought, well, maybe after he gets the teddy bear, he just goes straight home and deals with the aftermath and it'll be a lot shorter. But I think that would have been a little less exciting because, one of the things, Graham is always kind of expressed to us when we were talking to him is that he likes when the character kind of earns his death.
Yeah.
So I feel like, Raymond kind of goes through this and kind of goes through this hero's journey for all the wrong reasons. And then he kind of, expresses that the ending where you kind of see that he's still kind of a selfish, terrible person who, kind of used his whole family in the end, just because that's what he wanted. They were just like objects. So, kind of a neat thing. I also was really happy that everybody enjoyed the references in the story. That wasn't something I really planned on doing. When I had Raymond walking through the store, I was just thinking of storefronts and what sort of maybe store names I could come up with. And all of a sudden I just started thinking about some of the titles of the stories and how they do kind of sound like they could be a store, Ground Level Hardware and Summer Child Cafe and things like that. So once that happens, what's that?
I said the best meats are served there.
Yeah.
To me personally, I hear Summer Child and I think of a hookah shop. I don't know why. I just
you got to get the what is it? What is the selection of the thinly shaved meats? What's that called when you get it on a plate? Anyone?
You mean like chipped ham?
No, it's like Italian thinly sliced
prosciutto.
Yeah, but
you just like a general platter.
If you get it on a plate, I think that there's a name for it. Anyway, those are really good at the Summer Child Cafe.
Oh man,
the fairy tale
fingernail.
Yeah, the fairy tale, and then the look-alike salon, and but one thing too is, the whole scene with the, right when everything's still kind of happy, Raymond sees that airplane.
Charcuterie is the word. Thank you, Augie.
Oh,
there you go.
Sounds
What she works.
Thank you, Augie.
Now that we're we're using a bell for spoilers instead of the rocks glass, we're raising the bar. Charcuterie.
You'll learn something new every time you listen to Behind the Door.
Oh my God, we got a season 2. Just imagine what's going to happen then. Next thing you know, it's like, aurora, aurora. Somebody's going to have like a camel run out behind them or something. I don't know.
Charcuterie.
I might make that
charcuterie plate or a
TV
charcuterie board. Oh, that's good. Charcuterie is the branch of cooking devoted to prepared meat products such as bacon, ham, sausage. You get it. Anywhere. We're classy. Damn it.
Thinly sliced meats.
So
I really like. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, JM.
No, I was gonna say in terms of the story and Brian, it's like I love the whole season. Raymond is being tortured. He's dying. He's coming back. He's dying. He's coming back. He finally finds out at the end that the reason he's there is because he killed his wife and unborn child. And if it couldn't get any worse, then he gets to see them again and his child as if he grew up. And I think it's just more torturous than anything that could have happened to him.
Right.
I think it was a perfect ending. It's like, oh, you think everything else was bad? This is the worst thing that you're going to deal with. And it was spot on. I loved it.
Yeah, I do. I can't even tell you how many people I've talked to here locally. Brian knows this. I have a couple people on my mail route who actually are subscribers to the podcast, and they stop me and talk to me about it. And pretty much all of them, Brian, have broke down and cried at the end of this. It's like tears were jerked out of most people on the story. So I agree with JM there. It was terrible. It was yeah.
I will say though that those 3 minutes or 2 minutes where I don't know whether it was after you'd walked in the door and you were holding him, even though I knew it was all going to fall apart any second, I was at least able to find joy in that embrace of your son. And like I didn't even care that I knew there's no way it would last. I still was able to enjoy it for that.
That's because you're a parent. That's because you're a parent, Graham.
I'm glad he got that. I'm glad he got that, even though.
Well, I wanted to set up that scene where, we messed around with Lucy as a voice on the phone before, in one of the, I think it was the Way Out, the one after the Way Out, I think. And so we kind of like did that. So for me, I wanted to really have, Raymond's son on the phone actually saying words to him, because I thought that was really going to make the audience realize, like, oh my goodness, this is something that actually is a tangible thing here. And he can somehow see his family. And then, so the next logical thought that I think somebody might have is, his family's going to be in trouble. But I wanted him to be able to go in there and actually see his family and not have any bad things happen, to be able to hold them and embrace them and really just let that scene kind of grow into something. And I think with Teddy, it really helped too, because, you can see like the joy his son has with this really magical teddy bear and everything. And it all just kind of feels like, okay, this is what life would be like if you didn't murder your family, you terrible man. This is what you would have had.
What a job Sarah did too, huh? Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Well, we really, when I saw the script and I was like, oh boy, I hope Sarah's not too busy. Because we would have been, we had to make sure we had all of these people available. And thankfully everyone was able to turn around pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I wanted to use Teddy, I definitely went to Mike Lee and I said, hey, do you have any problems, using your character for this finale? Because the character is kind of a fan favorite, and I would really like to kind of give the bear like another opportunity to, have that thing that it wants so bad. And he was like, yeah, that'd be great. And I never did hear from Mike Lee as to like if he liked that or not. But
I honestly don't even know if he's listened to the story.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
He's
know.
really busy with his band right now, so
Yeah, but
which
Mike,
you
know,
can check them
hopefully-
out on Ice Station Bravo. So go check them out.
Yeah,
Broken
sure.
Machines.
But yeah, I had talked to, once I got that permission, I talked to Sarah Ruth right away, and I said, hey, just so you know, I really want to use the Teddy character. I'm going to bring her back, and this is what. So she was excited about that. And yeah, I kind of wish I would have got the story done sooner, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get the ending so right, and it took me a little bit to do that. So apologize, guys.
Well, it's astounding that for our first season, everything came out on time, and the finale was the only thing that got pushed 1 week, and the things that were able to take its place on those release days were fantastic as well. For a full season, to have only one small delay like that is amazing.
And it was longer than the major episodes too, so it kind of, I guess it would make sense if it take a little longer. But man, isn't it amazing how we timed everything?
Yeah, the fact that that Jason and you and Brian, when you put all the stories in the original P Cloud, and you had dates on them for when they were to release, you had them. All those dates were there from the get go, and you hit them all. Impossible, amazing.
Let's do it again, season 2. Woo!
Yeah, that's the other thing, Jason. And since Brooks is it looks like Brooks is out for a second. So you when you started producing the first season, we were talking in the spring. The season was going to start in November. You started production so far in advance of the season, and do you think the skills that you have accumulated over the season 1 will sort of compensate for the fact that you may not have as much of a lead time as you did for the first season? Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, we're still kind of technically still kind of rolling out the last bit of this first season,
Right.
With the other patron story and then the first time author story. So the first season still kind of technically has some stuff going on, but
Yeah.
If anything out of the first season I learned is that how to do things a different way so it's not so stressful on everybody involved, because I did some stuff out of order, and yeah. I think season 2 is going to be much better though.
Well, yeah, I mean,
logistically at least.
Sure. That's I mean, I can't imagine it being better, but obviously that's just the nature of as we get more experience doing this.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I tell you, I've begun the process. Brian is an overachiever, so he's already really dove into the stories and everything that we have been submitted. Which I have to tell you, I jumped into the folder for the season 2 submission stories, and there are quite a bit in there. I was quite impressed actually at the amount of new authors that we have that have submitted stuff, and the ones that I have read, man, this season's going to be, it's going to be fun. There's really quality stuff. There's some quality stuff.
How many spider swarms?
So far, I haven't read one spider story.
Damn, well, I thought that was the quality we're looking for in all our stories, was at least one spider swarm.
I thought you were just going to stop at one spider.
Yeah. well, in every episode, there's just a spider reference. Yeah.
That's kind of like what I was cracking up about, when just that one single spider kind of runs across that bus and gets stomped on. I thought, okay, I could have just left it at that, and I thought that would have been kind of funny, but
Ooh, Augie asks an interesting question. I don't know if we can answer it yet, but I'm going to forward it. Is will there be 13 episodes in the second season too?
We're still we haven't for everybody out there wondering about that stuff, and I think I could speak for Brian in a sense. Here is that we haven't hashed that out completely yet.
Mhm.
But I mean, me personally, I think that's a good number. It seems to flow well. You know, I if I were as a gambling man, I'd probably say that I would err more towards the side of yes. But you know, is there a possibility there be maybe one or more or whatever? Sure, fine.
I imagine if
If
you've
that's how
got
it
you
is.
find yourself with 15 amazing stories, you're gonna, you know,
Absolutely.
you'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And again with this exceptionally awesome cast of people that are behind the scenes, like, you know, you, Graham, and JM and Brian. It makes things a lot. It opens up the doors. It gives you more ability to maybe have 15 stories or 13 or, you know, 20, you know, something like that. But yeah, I do want to say, I'm just going to go ahead. I'd say I do think that there will be another preview story. I have another couple of stories in here that are probably not, what is it, feature length releases, but we do have a couple in there. I definitely think there's going to be at least one preview story for season 2. So yeah,
that's interesting because we had the 3 preseason episodes as we were sort of gearing up, and it sounds like that. Well, you called them preseason preview. You think that with the season 2 would have a couple of sort of some warm up tales?
yeah, just, you know, just kind of keep your mouth, just kind of keep the feelers out there, keep everybody kind of interested, and we're not going anywhere. And also the patron stories, not all of them yet will be released, but some of the patron stories that were released in season 1 to the patrons will be released to the public.
Ooh, during the off season?
They're in the off season, yes, sir.
Ooh.
Not to mention that the Bane series in the Patreon's about ready to just go up to full speed. So they're going to start getting a lot more material in Patreon as well. So we never stop here at the Grey Rooms.
Well, you've had an amazing since the get-go. You've given an amazing product to the people who are listening for free, but you've also had just as much of a attention and focus and the importance of the patrons from the beginning, which is really impressive.
Well, me personally, I absolutely love every single download, every single subscriber, every single listen. Again, I thought I was going to get 1,000. To see where we're at now is absolutely amazing, but it is also a testament of the group of people, this core group that we have working together. I told JM, I dubbed us the 4 horsemen, Grams. So, it's like we're bringing this about and we're doing it as a team, and we always have to make sure we pay attention to even the free listener, because they're going to be out there spreading the word. They're going to be out there, hey, listen to this podcast. But you always have to have a soft, warm spot for your patrons. So
it's a tricky
our patrons
thing to balance, but I mean, obviously we know other podcasts that figure out ways to do it, but I feel like even on season 1, you've been so consistent with giving people who are willing to even for the low price of $2 a month.
Which our Patreon's actually going to be changing. We might we're going to be working on a little bit this off season. We're going to try to make we're not going to nothing. If you're a current patron, nothing's going to change for you, so to speak. Yeah, if the tier goes up or down, you're still, if you drop down into a tier, you're still going to get the previous tier's rewards guaranteed. So let's say, you know, a $3 tier was to get stickers and, you know, a button or something like that, just for example, and it dropped down to a $2, or it went up to dropped down to a $2. You're still going to get all the old $3 stuff because you're grandfathered in, but the 2 new $2 guys will get stuff.
That's quite reasonable. And I think you also really I've seen other people start a podcast and start their Patreon, and they're like, their tiers are just they seem reasonable to them, but then you realize that people anyway. I think you really were smart on how you price things, and even with slight adjustments like you're doing, I think that's all going to be great. But I feel like a lot of people start out with, well, for $10 a month, and it's not like we don't offer that, but that's a lot of money for people.
Yeah.
And
I'm a working person.
Yeah.
I don't have bottomless pockets here.
I don't. I mean, I think I do. I have one person I give $10 to a month, but there are folks I've known for 10 years, and I'm trying to support with them. But most people, if they're asking for $5, I'm like, I don't know, but I'll give you $2.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear for people to hear the Patreon exclusive stuff, because that you gave that just as much attention and love as the main story. So that's
yeah. Augie's story is really cool. I'm actually I was concerned about the only thing about that story was it's not as long as most of the other stories, but the writing was really well done. Augie's a really great author and just a great person. Love Augie. But I was once I heard JM's score for A Road Trip, I was really happy with it. It came together all really well. I mean, there's the wizardry of JM Scherf right there.
Finally, he got one right.
Yeah. On that note, I have to go to bed.
You got
go, man. You get yourself to work. Thanks for everything.
I got to go to work and
first season,
get up in 5 hours. I do want to say real quick that I will be releasing the full soundtrack to Everything Ends on YouTube this week. I'm shooting for tomorrow, possibly Tuesday. It would have been out today, but YouTube had some issues.
Yeah.
So that's
who told me I only heard about that because of your post.
Oh yeah, I was so angry because I wanted to have that up in time for tonight. But I'll be tweeting out the link at JM Scherf Music on Twitter, and I'll put it in the Grey Rooms group when it's out, and it's free for everybody to listen to.
Amazing.
And and then I'm working on an album of selections from the whole season, and that will be coming out. I'm not going to give too much of it. I actually gave a deadline in about a month, and that's going to be released everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, everything. So I'll keep everyone posted on that.
Amazing.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to hear it, man. It's going to be rock and roll.
I didn't know any of that. That's so cool.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've gotten a lot of requests for some of the music separately, and especially the intro, which will be available on the album. So yeah, that's all. I just want to say, awesome working with you guys. It was great end to the first season, and on to season 2. And thank you to everybody who listens and downloads, and all the support from everybody. Everybody involved is awesome. This is my first experience with the audio drama community, and it couldn't have been better. I love all you guys.
The feeling is mutual, brother. I love you to death, man. Thank you ever so much, JM. Right. And we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Good night, guys.
Another 5 hours.
Thank you.
JMScherfmusic.com. Guys, go there. Check it out, man. Check it out. Bye. Send people if you need something, send there. So get out of here, JM. Go.
Bye.
Go home. Bye. Go to bed.
We need to talk about you without you here. Okay, so
I think
we fished him in,
Brooks
guys.
May have
we
ate
totally
a bad
sucked
onion
him
or
in.
something. I don't know what happened there. Did he have some bad sausage?
I don't know. I tried to text him as well. I'm assuming maybe something in the home, maybe.
Well, I know his. He had told me that I think his wife was taking the kids out, so I thought he'd be home alone. Maybe
the fact that he hasn't even responded to a text message.
Yeah, I'm hoping everything's okay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, he's coming out all right. I don't know.
Guys, we totally suckered JM. Like he's totally thinks we're a big deal. That's so cool.
Well, how awesome is that? That JM is putting together basically a music soundtrack of all the Grey Room songs that he has written, and I think it's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's going to be I think. See, like I heard, like Everything Ends, for instance. Like I heard the parts that. What?
Who was that?
That was Christina. She's sitting right here. And she,
Oh my goodness! I was like, Brooks?
What did she find so funny?
you. Here's
Oh,
the
was it-
delay. You.
Was it crack about JM suckering him in?
Sorry.
Yeah, you sucker in JM.
That's right. I'm just here to. I'm trying to make her laugh. That's all.
Oh,
But that's the so I heard everything ends with like the voice acting, some of the placeholders and sound effects. I didn't actually hear the music with it. Then I got to hear the music with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, how much more does that add to the story? So I can't wait to hear the music just by itself because it's
yeah.
Yeah,
it's nice.
astounding how much that adds. Like
Mhm.
everything you did, Jason, is phenomenal, and everything the actors did was phenomenal. But you can't overestimate how much a good score can take a good story and just magnify it.
Absolutely. Again, it's, I think it's destined or whatever. I don't know, but I think that all the right people are in the right places. I mean, yeah, your exceptional eye for a wonderfully talented voice actor such as Alistair Mackey, Mr. Rowat, and Brian, your writing. What can I say?
Hey, I'm just trying
wonderful job, brother. Did a wonderful job.
I'm just
Wonderful
trying to,
job.
create situations that make you have a panic attack because of what I put your characters through.
Oh man, well, I think more of a panic attack with the fact that I did, I'll do episode 7 and then 3 and 5 instead of going in numerical order. That was the worst part of season 1 for me. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm actually hoping to be able to find out here soon if we're going to go to Boston in October. I hope that that's a possibility, and then would love to see and meet all the actual members of the Grey Room staff, so to speak. I don't like that word, but team. That's what I'm using. I don't like the staff word. It sucks. No staff.
Well, the nice thing about that podtail is that it's all about audio drama. So I mean, it's not like you're there and then you're, dealing with people that are doing comedy podcasts and, sports podcasts and things. I mean, it's all audio drama, and it's anybody we can network with and just kind of talk to and, hang out with. It's all people that are doing what we're doing. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
awesome.
Well, I guess we lost Brooks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Shame. But we've been going for a while.
Yes, sir.
oh yeah.
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I know he had a wonderful sort of spreadsheet on things to ask, and you got a taste of the questions he had. He was
Well,
dropping.
he had it on. I mean, you know what? I'll just go real quick.
Pull it up.
Yeah,
We can
just
take
to see if
advantage.
there's
Take advantage
anything
of his
I
hard
missed.
work. Hold on. Yeah, I got it. There we go. It's in that channel.
I don't think he really finished anything for writing and art, but we kind of,
There we
what
go.
were some of the themes touched on in the season? I think we talked about that. How was the satisfaction?
Well, he was. Oh, you're right. He was just on to yours. Yeah, he just had gotten to yours, and he'd asked whether you were happy with how things had wrapped up for Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some. I think he'd kind of gotten through a lot of them. The art. The art is an interesting topic, but without Cassie here or Brooks here, it probably doesn't. I would like to just add that there's been a lot of art produced for, like, we started setting up a schedule, and part of this has to revolves around the fact that I took over the Instagram account, and so I always feel like I need something. I need a picture. So for me, everything requires an image. And at the same time, I know there's been research saying that a social media post will have more engagement if there is an image versus if it's just text. So we ended up getting to the point where there was a like, you knew if there was an episode, it was going to need 2 teaser images. Then there was going to be the there's going to be a teaser image without the title. There's going to be a teaser image that drops the title. There's going to be the episode art that comes out 2 days beforehand. Then on the episode day, you take the main episode art and you animate it to give it a little extra something sweet. And then, so that's 4 pieces of art per episode.
Okay.
And then on the Monday, like we had a whole, it was building into a schedule that I think is actually valid, but there's a lot of amazing art that not only did Cassie make, but there are like wonderful pieces. Like I think one of my favorite pieces is the one for S.H. Cooper's In Darkness.
Yeah. Yeah, with
And-
the eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
I'm like, that's one of my favorite things that came together. And, I think someday we'll put out a book. We'll put out like a nice coffee table book of all the images.
Sounds good. Actually, something should be said about the hard work that you and Brooks did, Graham. You guys did a great job. A lot of that art was phenomenal.
It was great and
phenomenal.
Well, thanks. It was a lot of fun to make and satisfying. And even what we just put together for Augie's episode, it's simple.
Oh, I love that. By the way, did you do that? Was
Yeah.
that you?
I did that.
I freaking love that, man.
I
love
love it.
that. Love
You
it.
get to watch the evolution of Graham as an artist
Yeah.
on this podcast. It's fun.
It's so, I mean, I've always enjoyed, when I was in high school, I used to do art, and I did some for a couple of years out of school, but then you just you just go away from it. And this is a very unique kind of art because it's combining stock imagery with filters, and it's its own thing. And I think when we started out, we thought, and we were looking for artists with a brush or a pen and pencil and that kind of art, which is really cool when you have access to those artists who can do that. And then we, for a variety of reasons, moved into other areas with other styles of art, and it sort of empowered Brooks and I to try some things, and then we have Cassie who can help us take our ideas and make them even better. So it's really great.
Yeah.
It's been a nice evolution.
It's a wonderful kind of group effort for this whole podcast. I mean, you see a lot of people, and, it's just like a one-person show, and they accomplish so much. And, you kind of find out like about a lot of the stresses they have. And a lot of times their shows take, longer to get to the finale. So the nice thing is that, Jason can just focus on one thing. I can focus on one thing. And then, you guys can focus on, one thing, or kind of share responsibility with the art and with social media and things like that. So it's like the teamwork that we have here, I think is kind of unique, especially for a group that's just starting out for their first season.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Oh no, Brooks texted. He's desperately trying to get his internet to work again.
Oh no.
See, the same thing happened to me. I gotta.
The internet spiders crawled from your house. Here's a great question from Augie, which is, what are your favorite characters from the first season that aren't main characters?
I honestly, my ultimate favorite character, honestly, is a main character. That's Bob. I love Bob. Bob's my favorite character. I love the boomy, big boom, and Graham that killer. But gosh dang it, Teddy. And then I think that, and this actually kind of backpacks off of Brian's last comment there, but the team effort thing, Chrissy pushed me to do this.
Yeah.
She said, do this, or I'm going to take your story and I'm going to write a book with it. So she forced my hand to make a podcast. And we got to remember that she also is Lucy, and she did an exceptional job.
Yeah.
So I have to say that because of
not just because she's sitting right there,
because of the support and the fact that she was anxious to do it, I have to say Lucy's probably one of my personal favorites too. And she's sitting right there as well.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But how cool is it? I mean, the fact that this first season, as personal as it is for Jason, he is going to be able to take this you know, to his grave, I guess. Like
Yes, I
knowing
am.
that he worked with his son
Sorry.
and he worked with his wife in the story, and they really just kind of created this really emotional dynamic together, and they'll always have that moment to share.
Yeah, and
So it's
part of it
it's
is
cool.
the fact that when you're starting out, the podcast is starting out, there's a scene, there's a wife, there's this woman, or even when it started when he needed the singing voice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was, and Christina, like, I can't imagine. I mean, in my imagination, there was a moment where you're like, "Hey, honey, would you mind? I just need some singing." And she may not have had any inkling of what she was getting into.
No, she didn't. But she enjoyed it because, I mean, truth be told, she loves you guys. She loves you, Graham, and Brian, and JM. She loves you guys. So she wanted to do everything she could to push the podcast further down the line. And yeah, I mean, she was definitely uncomfortable many times, like many times. But she's really happy that she did it, and I know that she's enjoying it so much so that like she's helping me with Bane pretty exclusively on that. So may have created a monster here, Graham.
She's like, someday she's going to come up and she's going to be like, honey, I think I want to start my own podcast. So I'm going to be in the next room recording. Are you using both monitors? I'm going to take one of these monitors.
It is what it is.
It's kind of weird, like that time when, like I killed, in the fairy tale story, I ended up killing Jason's wife. And I was like, man, this is weird. Like, just the fact that, we were all working together and everything.
Nope.
I didn't know how I felt about that. It's like, man. My favorite character, I think, is that isn't like a main character, but kind of is a supporting one, is Todd, played by Alistair Mackey. You kind of have to be a patron to listen to that character, but it's so fun just listening to Alistair be this kind of like minion type lackey guy who sounds a little bit like Igor, I guess. I don't know. He's got that kind of, just he's like a whipping post kind of character, and it's so good.
He's got marbles in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I really like that character.
Alistair's so good.
Yeah. He is, and I also liked Cherry in Summer Child. I thought that was a kind of an interesting character, and would have liked to have seen more of that little homicidal brat.
Lindsay did a good job with that one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we had a lot of and people. It's kind of funny because, like, I think after a while, like, certain podcasts might sort of have a certain style, and people might try to emulate that. This first season, people didn't really know what to expect, so they just wrote stories that they'd submit, to, maybe a magazine or maybe to like an anthology that was just sort of like a blind kind of like, delivery in their story, outside of what, we told them. So we have a very eclectic amount of stories, and I think it works, because every gray room's different. So, people aren't really focusing on, on that. They're just focusing on telling any horror story they want. And it's kind of fun, to see what they come up with. And I mean, really, how crazy is it that we have this horror anthology that has a story about Rasputin and a story about like World War I mixed in with a ghost story about a rocking chair and a teddy bear, who cuts, parents to pieces. And it's just such a crazy season. And, I kind of hope that season 2 will be like that. Once we, kind of nail down the lineup for the stories. But it's just so fun, like being able to have all these, different characters, different situations, and that variety from people that weren't really writing for a podcast. They were just writing stories because that's what, they do. They just, they're writing for all kinds of different markets. And this is one that they gave to us. So
yeah,
good times. I mean, really, so many great discussions Jason and I had over these stories. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, sir.
It's kind of neat, just because we're also basically like an anthology editor as well as, creating these podcasts. So, when we get to look at the stories, I read them over first. Jason reads them over. Then we discuss them. It's kind of funny. Even with season 2, I'm like, hey, Jason, did you read this story? And then Jason's like, oh, and then we
not yet.
But yeah, it's a
Brian's the overachiever in that department. I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, we kind of had these since,
Whatever.
It was like, no, it's all good. But yeah, if you are watching this and you're wondering if your story is submitted yet, I think June is the deadline we've given ourselves, right?
Yeah. We'll have everything done here.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yep.
We'll tell you. We'll let you know, and we'll be excited about it. And the nice thing is now everybody knows that those stories do sort of shape a little bit of what happens in the first season. Not 100%, but I do think that Raymond's journey was kind of shaped by like an amalgamation of some of the histories that we had, and if not, it became like a reference in some way. So it's kind of one of the things I always thought of was like how if you take like Ground Level and you take like I Love My Human and things, you kind of start to say, well, maybe there's sort of this thing where, and a good example too is if you look at the last scenes in Everything Ends, and the fact that he's looking up at that light and he's back in prison, he's getting electrocuted, it kind of seems to flow into this idea that the gray rooms that Raymond saw is kind of a reflection of what his last moments were, right? Because he's pretty much in a prison type cell and he has a light bulb and a chair and all that stuff, something you might see in a prison cell. So that's kind of a reflection on him. So maybe some of these stories might be a little bit of a reflection on him as well as we go through. So keep that in mind for season 2. We did tease some, a change. We didn't talk about it. Obviously, there's a woman who is kind of gasping for breath at the end of the finale. If you didn't stay through the credits and that's a bit of a shock to you, shame on you. But think about it. I mean, who's this character? We've heard some people think it was Lucy, but it's not Lucy's voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my big question about the post-credit tease. The sporadic light bulb is still there. Will anyone ever fix the light bulb? Or is that a permanent fixture of the gray rooms?
We don't know. We'll have to find out.
Oh man, just get a halogen bulb or like an LED. Get an LED. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think
I love the sound though. It's so distinctive now to our show. It's like immediately you can just hear that sound, and people who are fans of the show would just start, their eyelid would start twitching because they know they're not safe.
But the sound effect is kind of it's not really a regular light bulb sound effect, right? Isn't it like a kind of like one of the the halogen tube lights that are kind of flickering?
That's what
I hear. You're right. It's not a normal bulb, but it is a bulb that is not healthy.
Well, what I'm saying is like a lot of people envision it as like a regular light bulb, including the art we've done and the fan art we've received. And it's kind of neat, because I started picturing it as a regular light bulb because everybody else is. but it sounds distinctly like, one of those like halogen ones you'd have in an office or something.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just going to go ahead and not answer that at all.
But
I'll leave that out for everybody to figure out for themselves.
It's a character in the show though. Now it's almost as identifiable as Bob. So season 2, the light bulb will have his own actor, and it'll be
played by Alistair Mackey.
Yeah.
Best light bulb ever. And I really think too that it's going to be a lot of fun to obviously, we are going to have a new main character. That's what that was teasing. I don't think that's too far into a spoiler. That's why we had it. Where am I? So keep that in mind. I mean, feel free to talk about like what you think we're going to be doing with this. We already, if in case you didn't know, it is Sarah Ruth Thomas. She's very excited about it. And we might be kind of throwing some teasers throughout the off season, right, Jason? I think we've had some thoughts about where we might go with that. So,
Sure.
And it might not go the direction you think. So kind of, just keep your eyes and ears and whatever peeled.
That's the fun of it right there, buddy.
Yeah. We
But in the gray rooms, your eyes are literally peeled.
Yeah.
Hey, season 2.
It's gonna be fun.
Season 2 is gonna be lit, literally on fire. All right.
And by the way, when I get done here tonight, I have to go do some Foley. I have a rubber mallet and a mango in the other room. I need to get set for next season there and get me some sound effects.
Oh man, we get we're gonna have some fun though. This is gonna be a blast, especially now that we know what we're doing a little bit more.
What what you're doing?
Hey, I hope you know what you're doing. My goal is to make it harder as hard for you as possible. So
Gray rooms were so awesome, it killed my computer.
yeah, it did. Oh man.
Uh-oh. He's here.
What, Brooks is over there?
Audio
What's that?
Torment Jr.
When are we gonna go camping?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Guess I gotta go camping.
Raymond Jr. goes camping.
Okay.
I remember when we went camping.
Yes, sir. Well, we will do that. We go camping every year. We set up the tent in the yard and we camp. We glamp hardcore. We have air mattress and fans and stuff in there. We glamp hardcore. It's awesome.
What is this? This is an amalgam of the word camp and the word
glamorous camping.
Nice.
You never heard of glamping?
No, I never have.
Oh my gosh, man. There's like a whole people go out there, they take cabin tents out and they run air conditioners and power to it, and they go out camping.
Nice.
They basically living in a tent in the outdoors, but they have like cable television.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm only gonna camp. I'm gonna camp within Wi-Fi range. That's
right. Yeah.
So I still have Netflix.
Yeah, he loves to do that stuff. So that's what that was. So sorry.
And
by the way, how dare I not mention that obviously was one of my favorite characters too. He did a great job.
Jason, Raymond Jr. Which, of course, technically, Raymond never knew if his child was a boy or a girl. He just decided to make that child a son because that's what he wanted. Kind of a neat theme.
Yeah.
I really liked
Bob came in like a big old friggin' angel.
Enough. Is that an angel?
I think also the way you wrote it, like I'm an actor who looks at exactly how a writer has put it on paper, and you had written that is ... enough, and so my job is always to try to emulate just what's written, even though I'm like my instinct would also be to come in, boom, that's enough, like to connect it. And I'm like, but I don't do that. And I don't know why that popped into my head. It's just because I listened to it. I'm like, oh, that's what he wants. I hope this works.
No, it did. Exceptional.
Yeah.
I think that was so powerful. The ending of that story was friggin' gut punch.
Oh yeah.
Gut punch.
Yeah.
Bob's kind of like
everything.
ushering everybody out, like, come on, no, let's go. You're done.
Teddy, you got to go, man.
Yeah, people have wanted Teddy. Like, people have actually said on the Discord, like, they would watch, or I'm sorry, they would listen to a podcast just about Teddy and the adventures that Teddy has, which kind of tells you just how much, like, Mike's character has resonated with our fans, almost like a mascot for the Gray Rooms in a way. We have a member on our Discord that actually said she wants to make a Teddy, like actually sew a stuffed animal that looks just like, the bear from the story, or both stories. And so many people just were big fans of that bear. And that's cool, like when you know that that's something. I mean, we heard Raymond and Bob, and so, I definitely would like to be able to have more characters where, the people can associate with. But
can we also, what's being made first? The Graham Rowat, a giant head doll that Bo designed, or Teddy?
well, technically, the first thing that was made was Alistair Mackey.
You gotta be so happy everybody loves you so much, man.
Alistair Mackey has that Graham Rooms T-shirt, right? So that was
Did you not see that?
No, I did.
Oh, okay, God.
But Bo's design for the giant head doll came first, I think, and then Alistair did the behind the door for the man in Russia with the shirt and the whole store. I mean, the store, our online store is going to explode, and we all know it. That's what we're saying. Get ready, everybody. The bobblehead, the Warden bobblehead.
Oh man,
that would be fun. That would be fun. Like just having a.
Should he have like golf clubs or
golf clubs
and like pointing with a key? Like, a big smile. Yeah, going off the rails. Forgive me there.
No, that's the next Warden episode. It's like an episode of MASH. I can see that. I can see a parody of MASH.
Todd would be Radar. Yeah, I get you. What about you, Graham? What characters did you like?
The characters that I enjoyed that weren't the lead characters.
I know, right? It's tough. I actually had to sit there and think, like, wait a minute. Because my personal opinion, I heard them all so much, they were all main characters to me.
I need to
blindfold.
I need to look back.
Blindfold.
You like that guy?
I love that guy.
I honestly need to go back and look at the stories. I just need to see the story titles because right now my brain at this hour of night is just not there.
I think I would like maybe to. There are a couple characters from season 1 that if I can kind of sneak him in, I like to, like the Father Tucker, the priest from. I like to put him back.
Yeah. Justin did a good job. Very good job.
Yeah. Here. We have the when the Church of Two comes out. We'll.
What?
Well, Church of One's gone, right? So we got Church of Two.
What do you mean it's gone?
Well, you said it was gone.
No, I didn't say it was gone.
Jason said it was gone. I don't know. Somebody did.
What? Oh, I was joking. I was joking about it. I was being coy in my sort of way. I'm sure we'll never see them again. That's my certain.
Yeah.
My beautiful brand of sarcasm.
That's why I said the Church of Two.
All right. All right. You're good. I get it now.
There's a Church of Two.
Hey, speaking of which, and I know that not to shout out to other podcasts, but you had mentioned Justin's work in our finale, and I just realized that today is also a big day for Justin and Jason in that they both make appearances in the season finale of the No Sleep podcast.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Their finale came out today, and you'll hear both. If you listen, you'll hear both Jason and Justin, and it's.
God, I hope they found something that worked. I sent them like 6 takes. That was a great day to wake up. I had a DM from Mr. Cummings, and I was like, "Really? Hold on a sec. Really? Hold on a sec."
Yeah.
I think I said, Graham. I think I sent you a text like, "Did you do this?"
I was able to look into the project folder, and you were the first person to submit your lines. So,
all right.
You were like on it.
Yeah, I had them in less than 24 hours.
Not to give things away, but Jason's fate is not a good one.
All right. Well, I mean, it's just fitting, I guess. So what you're saying is I got typecast there.
Well, the things that we said to him during our behind the door probably didn't help.
Right. He's like, oh, God, that behind the door was excruciating. I'm going to kill that guy. No, I'm not saying that's what happened.
That or when I asked him if we were going to have a stiff one.
Yeah, that was what I was referring to, Jason.
To this day, whenever I send David a DM or anything, I always put a smiley face, thumbs up, and a bourbon. Every time. Just as a reminder, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yes. He is. And, it's kind of cool because, we did get a tweet from him during the finale. He mentioned that working with us was great with a GREYT with a typical David Cummings pun. So it was pretty fun. It's nice. But this was actually the first episode that we really had tons of feedback on it. Because sometimes, people listen to the show and they will enjoy it, but they don't tell you, or they just like it and retweet it or whatever. This was the first time people were like, I got to say something. So that was really nice. We're fired up, as you can tell.
Yeah. Season 2 is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah.
It looks like we're not getting Brooks back at all. I guess Brooks cashed.
No, that sucks because he was in the groove.
He was really looking forward to doing this, guys.
Yep. He had put in the time, he'd prepped it, and
yeah,
he was solid, and we love him very much.
And what's weird though is that all of a sudden my internet's stable.
Yep. So you just gave it to him.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like a STD. I just transferred it.
Say, man,
the digital spider swarm.
Isn't that how it is though? Every one of the stories has some kind of like butterfly effect or something that goes along with it. Everything ends and Brooks' internet stops. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's kind of funny because, people said in the first couple episodes we released that we kind of seem to be focusing on phobias. With falling, with the and then arachnophobia, and then go so on and so forth. I wonder if people still feel that way. Like, do we still feel like a show with phobias?
I feel like the show touched so many different areas of horror, and I just sort of, as you said, that went back to White Light Heaven and what a different style and story that was. I feel like we went everywhere this season, and that in a good way,
Yeah, absolutely, for real, big time.
For every story like Hunger Pains, where the Tunnels podcast called us out on Twitter for saying that we ruined funnel cakes for him.
Now that is a patron, right? That was a patron only, or no?
No, that was a double feature.
It was. I get the double features mixed up with the midnight channel.
Hey, Brooks is back.
Oh my goodness.
What?
I made it.
And we were just saying goodnight, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. I love everyone.
Brooks, welcome back.
I'm sorry, guys. I lost my internet again.
Oh my God, you must have been
I rang them, and now I'm on my phone, but it's already too late.
Climbing up on the roof trying to fix the antenna.
That's pretty much what I had to
I
do.
was just saying, I was getting there was a double feature. There were Patreon double features, and then which was Midnight Channel and
The Midnight Channel and Hunger Pains were together.
but they were not Patreon. Those were I gotta go.
Those are
back.
public. Those are ones with you and the Warden and everybody and Wilson Brooks and so on and so
That was
forth.
the Warden Games.
Yeah.
Crazy that I thought that was. Did we have a anyway? People don't need to hear me try and remember.
No, it's all right.
I feel like we had a double episode patrons only. Am I wrong? Or
Yeah.
they were only one. They were one single stories with Warden rappers.
Patreon was single stories.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, Warden rappers or Warden in the beginning.
rappers.
Warden rappers.
I like referring to our show as a horror anthology with a narrative rapper.
I saw that and I stole it. I stole your description.
Yeah, I feel like that's that. You're like, oh, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I think it works.
you know what I stole it for? I stole it on the, I think for our description, for iHeartRadio or something. I don't know. I did something. I was like, man, this is really good. This is how I want to describe it.
Well, the other great thing is that when you spoke to our good friend who did the article for sci-fi.com last year, and you gave her the quote, Quantum Leap, Tales from the Crypt meets Quantum Leap.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, and she wrote, self-described as Tales from the Crypt meets Quantum Leap. And whenever I get the chance, I just want to take those words, put quotations around them, and it says, Tales of the Crypt meets Quantum Leap, sci-fi.com. And I'm like, that, even though I'm sort of cheating the bonds of reality there, I feel like that is an incredibly powerful quote.
Yeah, it is. Although I kind of think that at the time, we, like the Warden stores were kind of like Tales from the Crypt, and they still are.
Right.
But the Raymond and Bob stuff, it's not really Tales from the Crypt.
That is it?
So it's like a weird thing that we created now. And I do think it's still Quantum Leap. In fact, my wife and I just watched the original episode of Quantum Leap again, and it's on Amazon Prime. And I still think like Quantum Leap feels like a Grey Room story, just not specifically horror, but it kind of is in a way, because the whole point usually is the person he jumps into is going to die if he doesn't do something about it.
Right.
So
precisely.
So it is kind of like maybe Quantum Leap is like the hope punk version of the Grey Rooms, right? And we're just the ones that, like, if what's that guy's name? Sam Beckett. If Sam Beckett sucked and failed miserably, this is what would happen, So.
Well, or if like they had pitched this show to the major networks and they'd all said no, and they're like, oh, all right, well, and then they pitch it to the darker horror network, which didn't exist back then, and they're like, well, we'll do it, but you got to make it horror.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean,
Which, by the way, if there are any horror producers or directors out there, this is a great fit for your network.
sales pitch.
There you go. We got all kinds of seasons planned. So just let us know. We'll we'll at least have the ending, as opposed to some giant novel series that have yet to end. Game of Thrones. How'd that work for you guys, HBO? I'm just kidding.
Hey, Stephen King liked it. That was important.
Bring us home, Brooks.
I've lost so much. I mean, how long has it been? 40 minutes now.
We
really
pulled
feel
up
bad.
We pulled up your show notes. We kind of looked at where you'd left off. We talked about the art somewhat. So I feel like we're in good shape for one of your wonderful wrap ups.
My wonderful wrap-up.
Hey, one thing I wanted to know from your little notes you said was one of your things you wanted to ask was how was a satisfactory resolution agreed upon for Raymond's travels, and you wanted to know that. Were you trying to see like if we all kind of like had a unanimous decision on how it was going to end, or what was
that was
about your question? How weird is that?
Yeah, I didn't get to finish the question because my internet went out. I was actually typing. I was trying to type it during the show. No, the question was more like for you. Like, are you happy with how you resolved all of it? I know that you write each Raymond Bob part before. How do I put it? Like, you didn't have it all written down. You have like the general idea of what's going to happen, but you wrote each episode before it was coming out. So that was giving you that time to kind of fine tune it. So I wonder if, given like looking back now, given that you had 12 episodes to catch up to this finale, do you feel that you got everything out that you wanted to explore between the duality of Raymond and Bob? Do you feel that the finale was enough room for you to bring all that to a closure, basically, for yourself as well as for fans to listen to? That was where I was trying to go with that question.
That's a good question. I mean, I think that, yeah, I do. I think that in terms of a resolution, I wanted to I was obviously building up the story where Raymond wanted to know what sort of person he was because he forgot his past. And I wanted to get through episodes 1 through 12 and find out like what it was he did. I didn't want to leave that open to people. When I was doing world building, I still wanted to leave the gray rooms, with a lot of questions. But Raymond, I wanted to finish his storyline. And once you get to that point, it just seemed like a natural fit then to, end it on a note of, okay, what happens if he gets what he wants, but in the gray rooms? And that's what happened. So, yeah, and it's funny because when I saw that, one thing that popped up to me was that the fact that it's a real, I mean, I guess in a way it's okay just to say, like, it's like a blessing for me to have the authority, in the show to write the story the way it is. Nobody has ever kind of said to me like, Brian, you've gone too far. You can't do this. You can't do that. Jason has had a lot of trust in me and a lot of faith in me to continue on this path, because you got to remember, like, his dream was the gray rooms as is in the cell with the light bulb and everything. And then that was it, though. It was just that idea and that image. And then I was given the, ability to just do whatever I wanted with that, both with this and the Warden thing. So if it was my, world that I was creating and I asked somebody to help me, I don't know if I could share that as easily, because it's something that I'd be very vested in and passionate about. So for Jason, to say, yeah, go for this. This is good. This is fun. A lot of times I don't really hear back from Jason, like, oh man, I read this and I thought this was really good. And this generally Jason doesn't say anything. He just does it. So I'm like, half the time I'm just like wondering like, well, how's this going? And I'm nervous about it. Like the one with the snake in episode 7. I was like, man, I have no idea what he's going to feel like for this.
My bad. I'll get that down.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't, but it's just funny. Like, you send like a story to like Brooks and Brooks is like, ah, and then Jason's like, yeah, it's cool. I'm going to go work.
Did that ever influence your writing? Like thinking like, is Jason going to be able to transcribe this over to audio? Like your idea with the snake, did you think like, oh, maybe Jason can't reproduce that in audio format?
I kind of actually wrote that particular episode thinking that it would be translate really well for audio, because a lot of it is kind of like quiet. Now it's dark. You can't see anything. And I wanted to play with that. I have full confidence, just like Jason's full confidence in me that I'm going to be able to finish this story in such a way. I have confidence that Jason's going to be able to, act out. I mean, I did have a lot of emotional stuff for Raymond to do, and I was like, you know what? And, Jason, he's going to be able to do this. I know it because everything else I've thrown at him, he's been able to handle. Bob's the same way, but Bob's character is still kind of more reserved in a lot of ways. Really the biggest kind of dramatic thing that Bob has done in the whole season was that, he's like an angel and he's like, that is enough,
Enough.
and then everything stops. And that was like my Gandalf moment with Bob. He just like pounds his staff on the ground and everything. He just kind of owns it.
That's the one I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember. That's what it was. Dang it. Okay, Gandalf. Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. You helped me there.
You're welcome, man.
Remind me of.
So yeah, I mean, I had that freedom to do that. Jason was able to reciprocate that same kind of thing I was putting out. And it's funny because there's a lot of times when I'll tell Jason things like ideas I had, especially for the warden, and he's like, okay, man, whatever, and then I end up changing it. Anyways, it's like, but nobody has ever said that's too far, and it's fun. I don't think if anybody else wouldn't give me that much freedom to do things. And that's, if I went anywhere else and was writing a story for them, I don't think I would ever be able to have quite that creative freedom to just take what I want to do. And there are times when Jason was like, man, I was talking about the future. Jason's like, yeah. But,
Nah, you're being nice. I was like, no. I was like, no. No, Brian, that's just a testament of Brian. He's an exceptional author. And by the way, forgive me, my headphones crapped out, so I'm on a different headphone. So I should hopefully not be fashion. Yeah, I should hopefully not be too. You're probably gonna get forehead for a little bit. Forehead and eyeballs here. No,
it's a very beautiful forehead.
Yeah, Brian just did a great job. I was very confident in his abilities after I read his great. It wasn't the Great War. Gosh dang! Actually, I was thinking it was Fairy Tale. It was Fairy Tale. I read that. I said, all right, I like this guy's style. And then, I'm not an author. I'm not a voice actor. The last thing I'm going to do is step on somebody's toes. I don't know what they do, but I know talented people, and they're talented people. And what is the last thing you want to do with a talented person? And that's get in their way. So, yeah. And again, we all work so well as a team. Why? So, yeah, Brian, everybody's got the freedom. Let's do it. The freedom to listen to the gray rooms.
You hear that, Graham? If you want to change Bob's voice, you can totally do it. You got the freedom to sound however you want.
I got some ideas.
I think Bob should visit Jamaica and kind of absorb a bit of an accent. That would be kind of nice. Yeah, he needs those 2 weeks off.
Hold on, guys, hold on. I was just reviewing the last statement, and I realized there's an asterisk at the bottom, and the asterisk states that except for Bob and a few other things, and it has some blank lines to be filled in later. So those things can't be changed. But I wouldn't mind a little hey man,
choose a door, man. It's a groovy one over there.
Come on. Come on, man.
Horrible.
This is gonna be like the gray rooms, the high school years or something.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we get the opportunity for all of us to get together out at Podtails in October, hopefully, that's going to make for some good video.
The fans will be entertained. A couple live renditions. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Have to have gray rooms at karaoke.
Gray rooms karaoke.
Bourbon at 2 p.m. I don't care.
Bourbon at 2 p.m.
Bourbon at anytime p.m. That sounds good.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I dropped the hosting ball on you guys.
That's all right.
I'll
Happens.
sort it out with AT&T later.
I'm hosting this entire podcast,
Oh.
and my wireless kept rebooting itself, and it's not even my router like I thought it was. It's my actual wireless card in my PC. So I don't know what happened with that, but it just kept. Now it's good.
I saw you okay. I didn't. It was only a few times we mentioned, but here I just disappeared for half an hour. My own gray room.
All right.
Yeah, but when you
Any
disappear,
landing, we're bringing the season in to a close. Flaming,
Yes.
this plane is on fire, but we're doing it.
Yes, it's landing. It's on fire, but it's landing, and we're gonna take off again for season 2.
Right. So we're gonna tweak it. We're gonna tighten up some bolts, and we're back in the air.
We got it.
Thank gosh.
So, does anybody have any hopes for season 2 as we wrap this thing up here? Anything that we're looking
More
for?
musical numbers.
I want to see better art. Better art. They could do better with the art, right? Yeah.
Yep. Better art, better voices, better stories, better production.
You missed that conversation, Brooks. You missed that.
Damn it!
Yeah.
I'll listen to it.
We get some. I think we forgot to mention Brooks in the art, though.
Oh, darn it! That's okay.
No, I think we started to, and then we were like, well, he's not here, so let's just not.
Yeah, don't bother. He won't mind.
So, yes. No, I guess as far as season 2 goes, I hope that, again, I do hope you guys are able to hear me halfway decent,
Mhm.
but I do hope that if anything that we can do for season 2 is capture the same essence from season 1, because I think the gray rooms came out, and I really do think it backhanded everybody. I don't think that they were expecting what they got from us. And again, that's a testament of the team. That's a testament of the group, the individuals that all came together and put our heads together and really made this happen. And we're back. It's the same group of people, but different stories in a different situation. So if you like season 1, then I guess my hope is that season 2 will resonate with you the same way, because we're going to put forth that much or more effort than the second season. That I can guarantee you. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. Some of these stories I've already read. I'm ready to go, man. Some of these are good. Like real. Well, they're all good.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Jason is so dedicated and so intense in a good way, like in the best possible way, but and it's always fulfilling to hear his commitment, but it would be hilarious if you're like, in season 2, I'm gonna just ease up a little bit and just, I don't know. I that would be shocking to me, because his
Graham, why are you divulging my text messages?
you're a blazing furnace of inspiration and passion. It would be so hilarious if you're suddenly like, yeah, season 2, I'm gonna just relax and maybe not so many effects.
You know what? Never possible.
I know, it wouldn't be
with
possible.
People like you guys like you and Brian and JM and Brooks and Cassie and heck, the entire cast and crew, everybody involved. It's impossible.
Yep.
Even if I decided, it's impossible. You guys are infectious. You're awesome, all of you.
It would be an epic psych though if you could pull that off. But yeah,
Maybe.
we know there's no way your burning passion or the walls of this building. That is the gray rooms.
And we're doing 30 episodes for season 2, right? 30 episodes at least. 35.
Is it 13 or 30? I don't
I thought it
know.
was 30.
Yes, we will do 37 episodes.
37,
of season 2, actually.
thank you.
But here's the
Okay.
deal: they're all flash fiction, no more than 2 minutes long. 3
Season
sound
2 will be done
effects,
in a
1
week.
music bed, 1 voice actor, 5 lines. That's it. We're done. That's
It's
all.
just we're just taking the season 2 finale and just chopping it up into 2-minute episodes.
That's right.
Just
Man,
experimenting.
speaking of which, 24 voice actors, I think, were used for the season finale. So we've worked with a lot of people, and they all did a wonderful job.
Yeah, thank you.
And they've
Every one of
all
you.
mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, except for you, Graham. I wonder why.
Well, oh, what's that? Oh, there's someone at the door.
Yeah.
Bye, Graham.
Oh man, I love that. What is that briefcase just sitting there?
I
thought
know.
it was a Tesseract.
I think I
earlier.
should just maintain the mystery.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know at the end of Pulp Fiction what was in the
Everyone's
briefcase.
got like a metal briefcase that they have, and they keep something very, very valuable in it.
Yeah, or shiny, you know.
Or shiny, and you don't need to, maybe you don't tell people what it is because they'll come for it. Can't tell you.
It's like the spiders are just in there. That's what.
It's
Spiders.
Well, that's a big thing in that in the YouTube chat there. They've been going on about spiders constantly, so that's what's in there. Spiders.
I apologize. I keep yawning in your face, but you know what? This is mostly audio, so only our folks at home are going to see the yawns. I'm so sorry.
It's late for you guys. Why are you all awake still? Lord.
For you, Brooks, we wanted to get your money's worth. You know.
Okay. It's only 8:23 for me. The sun's actually still out a little bit. There's like some light outside.
Oh, look at that. I think we just traveled back in time. Nice.
I'm 3 hours behind you. It's awesome. Waving from the past.
All right. Well, hey guys. Thank you everybody on YouTube that's been a part of this. Thank you, Jason and Graham and Brooks, JM. Thank you guys so much for jumping in here in our Behind the Door. This is it. This is the end of the season for us. And
Yeah.
Yeah, ringing the bell.
Use the cowbell, man.
Damn it.
But I just, wanted to say again, thank you everybody for listening to us and supporting our show. Really, this is the time to kind of, hit us up. Any thoughts and opinions, things you think we need to, improve upon. Let us know, especially with Behind the Door. And just, we don't bite. Tell us all your thoughts and criticisms and everything. We'd like to continue to.
That's the one thing we could actually guarantee was the biting.
All
right.
Might be especially after the next episode, right? With the bonus.
Oh, right.
Whoa, but yeah. You're supposed to ring the bell.
All right. Lord, nobody heard Brian. Okay.
But now I'm kind of normally I end this with kind of doing something like Raymond blah blah blah, but I don't know. I guess I got to come up with something different now, right? I didn't really think of that through.
Bob is not.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
There you go. All right.
I would like to see. Bo did a piece of artwork that featured the warden and Bob, and I like the idea that Bob is really something that could be anything your imagination pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's really just been a voice. And I would love to see what that inspires in people in terms of art. Because how do you capture this idea of this? What is this? What do you think of when you hear Bob's voice? Because he's always been a disembodied presence, and I'd be fascinated to see what people. So if anybody wants to do any Bob drawings, you can send them to me.
Please. Yeah.
Or a warden, right? Because the warden,
I mean, in my mind, I have a better idea of what the warden looks like, but at the same time, it would be a monster to draw it.
Well, and that's the thing, like both of those characters, you don't really know like 100%. I think the idea for the warden is that he looks differently to everybody, at least in my mind. Jason, what are you doing over there, buddy? We're trying
What?
to.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
whiteboard.
That's the whiteboard. I was looking
The
at
infamous
my
whiteboard.
So I was running around trying to find a good area with light because I was so dark where I was at.
He's just trying to find the perfect angle for himself. He's just like, it's my good side here. Are you trying to show it?
Yeah, look. Oh, this is season 1. Look at all the red lines. All the red lines were victories. I'd come over and go, thank God. Shink. All right, next one.
Yeah, there's nothing better than checking it off. Or
I got
drawing the red
something. I
line.
got something right here under my arm that's part of season 2. I'm not gonna release that. But
Spoilers.
Hey,
We'll grade it out later.
Ryan, what's I usually don't ask about download numbers because it's all silly anyway. But since this is our wrap up,
Yeah.
what are we at? What are we at?
Give me a second, and I'll tell you here. We're
Probably should do this off stream so people don't know the navel gazing nature.
Which, by the way, I did want to mention too while we're waiting. If you are a fan of the Gray Rooms and you like the quality that we put out, if it meets your standards as far as this stuff goes, jump into our Patreon if you would ever be so kind to support us financially on that. We do have Bane. We released one episode of that. Brooks has helped me out with that pretty extensively, and we're going to start releasing those on the regular here very soon. And I think you're going to be pretty happy with those stories. So if you want to hear more of the Gray Rooms in the off season, other than what we're actually going to do into just the main feed out there, pop on over to patreon.com/the Gray Rooms. And we greatly appreciate having you on board with us. So,
all right.
Always room for more.
So right now we're sitting at 178,831 unique downloads.
Wow.
So
nice.
How's that for 1,000 there, Jason?
That's good.
Well, that, and then you go into iTunes, we have over 100. I think it's 100 and something reviews, and we average at a 4.5 or 4.7. And yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a team effort. We did a great job together. I can't stake claim to anything individually. This was a team effort, and that's how it's going to continue to be. So we're gonna bring it season 2. All I can say.
I kind of, I kind of called it too. I said we were going to get about 175,000.
You did.
I
absolutely.
So there you
also
go.
having 100 reviews for a new podcast, that's in itself a feat. I mean, usually I think most new podcasts get 10, 15, 20 reviews. So people love it so much they're going the extra steps to log on and actually, because there's like a 2 or 3 part step to leave a review for something. So that's a really good sign.
So
again,
it's a lot of fun. We're excited. We're ready. And I think time to wrap this up, guys.
Yep.
Again, I think we're all good to go. Everybody Jason, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Everybody, I want to say goodbye to, well, not just goodbye, but we'll see you soon. Obviously to Brian, Graham, JM, Brooks, Cassie, and we talk to her real soon here in the next couple of days, I think. Talk to y'all real soon. But the patrons and every single one of you out there who either are here now or come across this later, thank you. This couldn't have been anything without you, and don't think that we're blind to that. Like, we understand that you are the most important part of this, and if you love it as much as we do, which it seems like you might, thank you ever so much for that, because let me tell you something. There's a fire that starts off about this big and then it burns the house down, and that's because you keep feeding it fuel. So we appreciate that. I appreciate that. So thank every single one of you, all of our patrons, all of our subscribers, everything. Love you ever so much. Thank you. And we'll see you season 2.
Yeah.
And also keep an eye on your people who are not patrons. Keep an eye on your feeds for releasing previously patron only episodes might be coming out during the off season too. So there'll even be things, not only we're continuing to give things to patrons, but also things to our non-patron listeners who probably want to become patron listeners anyway.
That's it.
Yeah.
Graham, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye, everybody. I like telling stories in the gray rooms. Thank you for listening. Bob is resting. Bob is getting some rest.
He's on vacation.
Yeah, he's having a pina colada on the beach.
He's doing haikus. He's wearing haikus in his Hawaiian shirt. You know, he's good.
But he's getting ready. He's getting his haikus ready.
Jason. Hi. Brooks, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody. To enact a famous Oscar moment. You love us. You really love us. Anyways, it's been a fun season. And yes, it's been because of all the fans that love us. So thank you, fan.
Hey, Brooks, you wanna shake your magic 8-ball real quick and see how the gray room is gonna be?
Will the Grey Rooms be back for a season 2? Outlook good.
Oh yeah!
Hey, ask him if
good.
I'm gonna make my water bill next month. Ask.
Is Jason going to be able to afford his astronomical water bill next month?
Oh my God.
Better not tell you now.
Oh God, I knew it. I knew it.
Better go dig yourself a water hole out back. You're going to need it.
There's going to be a delay on patron orders next month. I just want you guys to know that.
Water bill comes first.
All right, guys. Brooks, thanks for coming back and doing this wonderful job guest hosting. I know you were gone, but that's okay, buddy. We all knew you were coming back.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You did a great job, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again for tuning into our show, and we will see you guys again in season 2. You heard the 8-ball. It's gonna happen. So, everybody,
wait, it's gonna happen? It's going to.
And just remember one thing.
Join us each week after every episode for another edition of Behind the Door.